What a piece of junk!
This is the Shattered Order Podcast.
Go switch off!
If you're looking for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes news, information, and theory crafting, you podcast you're looking for. With your hosts, GoodNightPunk and WinKILLERinc.
We would be honored if you could join us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 123rd episode of the Shattered Order Podcast. I'm your host, GoodNightPunk, and with me, as always, is my good friend Wink. And as if you're watching the live stream, you'll notice there's someone else here with us, and that is our other good friend, Miss Passiert. Did I butcher that?
Oh no, that is perfectly all right.
Enough.
It's perfect. Yeah, close enough. Call it good enough for government work.
Beautiful. All right. Well, what's going on, guys?
How's it going, guys?
Oh, it's beautiful Friday.
Wow. I'm sure.
Indeed, I am so ready for the weekend.
So
Yeah.
my weekend has one more day in it, so I don't know. You guys enjoy yours. I'll be at work. Everything will be good.
Yeah.
I've been off since Wednesday morning, though, so I can't complain.
Yeah, that's not that bad.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, for sure.
I've had a pretty ridiculously long week, and it's starting to get cold, so ugh.
Yeah.
I'm dreading it. Weather's been so nice, and the stupid time change. I can't get used to this crap. It's throwing off my arena. It's throwing off everything. So weird.
Hold up. What time change?
You must live in Arizona.
Oh, he does. Bastard.
Oh, I'm sorry to everyone out there that had to go through that, but everything has stayed the same for me. In game, out of game, it's a beautiful thing.
Of course it has. That's
Yeah.
nice.
The only thing that changed is our raid time since we do it on Pacific. So I've had to add an hour there, and that's kind of annoying. So I guess maybe I kind of feel your pain, but
You still suffer from the time change, whether you want to or not.
yeah, it's gonna do something. Quick shout out. This was mentioned in the order earlier that our friend Cotton from Frequent Fighters, his dog Opie. So Opie, if you're listening, this is a shout out to you. Hope you're enjoying this in your house right now. So good to see you. Didn't think I was gonna shout out a dog, but I did. You're the man, Opie.
It is a first time for everything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see if this works. Hey, Opie, sit.
He said he has a
I'm
camera
curious
and he planned
before,
to
report back and see if that worked.
yeah, he said he was gonna let us know how he went. So
That'd be awesome.
All right, y'all ready to get in the first topic?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Hey guys, what did you do in SWGOH this week?
Well, I don't have a whole lot that I did in SWGOH, but a couple of things that were actually kind of exciting. I've been in competition with Elon in our guild, as far as Sith Ray damage, and he's been kicking my butt in Phase 3, so I've been working on Greedo so that I can compete, and I finally got him to Gear 12. I did a run this morning. This morning we had our Phase 3, and I ended up landing just under 6 million with the lead Greedo, Pow, Death Trooper, and Chewbacca team. So I was pretty pumped about that.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. He just like the first 4 attacks he single shot, and then I think it was the 2 attacks after that he just kept on going. I was like, yes. I think it was a little over 16% of phase 3 on that run. It was pretty legit.
So I don't mean to be a downer,
a
but
happy
did
camper.
you achieve your mission of beating Elon?
That's the question everybody wants to know.
I did achieve my mission technically because he had yet to break 6 million, and I did that. And unfortunately, he also broke 6 million, and he got like 6.5. So he still holds the record in our guild for that checks run. Yeah, a little disappointing. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun modding the team, going through, digging through, trying to find, mods with more offense. One thing that I thought was really interesting, for whatever reason, I keep collecting the thermal detonator Gear 12 Plus piece, and it's the one that I think has 100 strength and 100 physical damage, and I put that on my Death Trooper, and because of the way he was modded, it added like 350 physical. I did not realize that one piece of gear would add that much damage, so that was pretty awesome.
Dang.
Just trying to maximize the offense on all those guys has been a lot of fun. Those are the teams like remodding, trying to squeeze every little juice that you can out of that lemon, or whatever the saying would be.
Beautiful.
It's not like pulling raisins from the dirt, but that's okay.
Nope, not even close.
So the other thing, today I was going through slicing mods, and I ran across a crit damage mod that I was like, hey, that's some decent secondary speed. Let's see what happens. So I sliced it from blue to purple, and it went from, I believe, 13 to 17 speed. Took it from purple to gold. It went to 22 speed. So that is far and away my best crit damage set, crit damage triangle. And tomorrow I'm going to be slicing that to 6-star. I'm freaking pumped. I was so excited.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Can I counter that with the opposite side, which is kind of disappointing?
Sure, go for it.
I decided to slice a 5-speed green mod from green to gold to see how awesome it would. See if I could get lucky enough to get the speed to proc. I was super stoked because it procced every time all the way to gold. So I got 3 procs on the 5-speed.
Nice.
No, sorry. It was at 9 speed because it was green, so I'd already procced the speed once. So it was at 9. Proc 3 times, got 10 speed out of those 3 procs.
Are you serious? Oh my god.
3 procs, only 10 speed.
That means it went for like the minimum on at least 2 of those procs.
So it's a 19 speed mod, which is awesome. Except for what it procced, it feels like it should have been in the 20s.
Man.
It was painful.
That's
what a
rough.
Bummer.
So it'll still be a 20 secondary speed mod once you slice it to 6-star.
Yeah,
so
but still, it should have been like a 26 speed.
It happens.
No kidding. That's rough.
When the RNG strikes.
Yeah, no kidding.
Good. That's an example of good and bad in the same time.
It's the best of both worlds.
Kind of speaking of slicing mods, I think I'm going to try to do a video this weekend because I've been going through and slicing up mods on because of these Clone War anniversary drops. I was stocked up on energy so I could get all this extra stuff because I really needed Django shards. So I have a lot of mod salvage. I don't have a lot of Django shards, so it's whatever. We'll talk about that here in a second, but I think I'm gonna do a video about slicing mods because I think that would be kind of fun. And now that I have all this material, I mean, I might as well do a video about it, so I think that'll be fun. And the other thing I did this week was a couple arena team modifications. I finally got Jolie Bendo to Gear 12, and I modded him the way that I discussed, on the podcast last week with a lot of tenacity, and it seems to be really effective. And I've kind of been going back and forth between Revan, Grandmaster Yoda, General Kenobi, Jolie, and then either having Basilisk or Hermit Yoda as that last spot. And I think I've settled on Hermit Yoda as being that last spot just because, like I was talking last week kind of about turn order with this team. So you have Revan that goes first, which will basically almost guarantee Grandmaster Yoda gets full turn meter. He will spread tenacity and foresight. Then with Hermit Yoda, I should say Revan's AoE causes all Jedi to gain 5% turn meter because of Hermit Yoda's basic ability. So then Hermit Yoda will go, he can call back in Grandmaster Yoda, which gets him back to full turn meter again. So you kind of got this loop where Grandmaster Yoda takes a lot of turns really consecutively, and that's kind of why it's important to have Hermit Yoda just a little bit slower than Revan. But I really like having him on the team just because those 2 mass assists add a decent amount of turn meter, which seems to be pretty effective. I'm running a speedy General Kenobi, and that seems to be pretty good. I'm really enjoying the team. I stayed top 10 all week until today, and I dropped to like 25. It was really weird. It was kind of a busy day in Arena, apparently. But
those days always suck.
Yeah, no kidding. It's a lot of fun. But that was pretty much my weekend, Swagga. What about you guys?
Go ahead. I'll go last.
Yep. All right. So pretty much the one thing I got done this week was finishing off my Bosk, actually. Like 2 days ago, Wednesday night, I was 3 shards short, and I decided to burn 125 crystals on a node refresh and an energy refresh to shoot for those last 3 shards. I figured I'd roll the dice and go for it, and I simmed all 8 nodes just straight up instead of just doing 1 node at a time or 1 sim at a time. I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off. I'm gonna sim all 8 battles and see what happens. And I got 3 shards exactly.
Oh, beautiful!
So it was perfect. I got the last 3 shards I needed, took them to 7 stars. I had all 3 pieces of those, the Gear 12. None of the Gear 12 plus, but I had all 3 pieces that he needed for Gear 12, so I was really happy to just take my Bosk all the way up. And he already had the leader Zeta. I think I gave him the Zeta when he was still only 5 stars because that Zeta is just so stinking good. So he already had the Zeta, so my bounty hunters are a formidable crew right now with Bosk.
That's awesome, kind of tell.
For sure.
So yeah, it was.
Oh yeah.
There was literally nothing more satisfying in this game than finishing a long hard node farm. I don't think there's anything more satisfying than a hard node farm. Finishing it off.
That is no kidding.
That's pretty much the one thing I did this week. So yeah.
So the question that brings to mind is, how was the Chewbacca event for you then? Because obviously you couldn't use Bosk.
Yeah, so my Chewbacca is only 6 stars. I spent about an hour and a half praying to the RNG gods, RNGesus, and after an hour and a half of not even killing one of the enemies on the other side, with a Gear 12 Boba Fett, mind you, Gear 12 Boba, Gear 12 Dengar, I just couldn't. I mean, I was rocking a total of like 460% potency across my entire bounty hunter squad, so they had a boatload of extra health. And
jeez.
I still could not get. I couldn't even make a dent, and so I just was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna finish my Bosk, because everybody that I've talked to has said, oh yeah, I beat it the second time around with like the second time I went in, I beat it with Bosk. I was like, well, all right.
Yeah.
So instead of sitting there and beating my head against the wall and just dealing with the agony of waiting for RNG to just fall the right way, I just said, you know what? I'm gonna just save myself the headache, save myself the heartburn and the stress and the blood pressure. I'm gonna keep that low today, and I'm gonna just be happy with a 6-star Chewbacca, finish my Bosk, and then when it comes back around, I'll be able to go, all right, enter battle, auto, done. 7-star Chewbacca. So
Beautiful.
I decided to go with the slow and steady on that one.
I like it.
Finish off Bosk.
Not a bad strategy. That will definitely get your 7-star Chewbacca next time for sure.
Yep.
So the other question, you've got a max Bosk. Are you using Houndstooth in Fleet Arena?
So I'm not, for the sole purpose of the fact, well, really the sole fact that I don't have Houndstooth really well geared. My Houndstooth is only at, actually I just got my 30th shard, so it's at 4 stars now. So
Very nice.
yeah. I did max out Bosk's ability on Houndstooth though, because that's the one that really matters. When it loses taunt,
Yeah.
it gains taunt again if an enemy is breached. So I figure I'll farm up the other, probably IG 2000, because IG 2000 is all right. Xanadu Blood is a little but IG 2000 is pretty good. And, you know, hopefully I'll get those farmed up, and maybe I'll run a Bounty Hunter squad later on down the way. But Warrior also has his Warrior's Nightmare squad, I think is what it's called. I can't remember what he calls it, but it's, yeah, it uses, I think, Ghost and Houndstooth and one other ship. I can't remember what it is, but Houndstooth is kind of a cornerstone for that squad. So I am farming Houndstooth right now, but it's not currently in my ship arena.
Gotcha. It is a pretty good ship. I see so many people running it, even at 4-star. It's such a viable ship. It's crazy, especially as a reinforcement when that damn thing comes in. Ugh. Yeah. Because I'm still running Biggs Vader and Biston's U-wing, and I actually like it whenever I go up against bugs that have like a lot of people run Sunfok with Junos and Soldier and Houndstooth as the main lineup, and I like fighting those a lot better than the full bug squad. I think it causes problems for other people though.
Yeah, they've done a pretty good job of diversifying ship arena just a little bit more than what it used to be.
Yeah, definitely getting there for sure. Especially if they do something in the next couple months to make Mace's capital ship more viable. I mean, they already started with Anakin's ship, so it'd be cool if they kind of flesh that out a little more.
Yep.
So, well, to the point of your Bosk shard thing, apparently tonight's my opposite day. From Wink opposite and you opposite. I went in today 98 out of 100 on Bastila on my alt account. I did the 8 hard nodes and got 1 shard, and I did the 8 fleet nodes and got 0 shards. So at the current moment, and I'll wait till tomorrow, it'll be fine, not hurting anything. But like you said, finishing a hard node feels great. Having to wait for 1 shard when you were only 2 off a whole nother day, killer.
Lost you. You there?
I'm still here. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So that was killer. But on the other side of that, I did finish Treya to 7 stars today. So I'm totally fine with that.
That is a huge milestone.
Oh yeah.
Ready to get that Gear 12 now. It's been sitting in the purple. I got a whole Sith arena team for the longest time that was all gold, and then you had Treya there in their purple. It'd be nice to get her in the yellow, but not see it now that I've I used her the entire time at 5 and 6, and then the arena changed, and now I'm using Revan, so she's not even gonna see gold in the arena. Pretty funny.
That sucks.
Bummer. Good for territory war though.
Oh yeah, for sure. Excited for that. I finished
And
L3.
I'm sure other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of things. Well, now I can use her. Now I can use that Sith team in the last phase of dark side territory battles that I was using the Sith team all the way to 5, but never in 6. So now I can just not worry about it.
Oh, yeah.
Just in time for tomorrow.
I know,
Heck
perfect
yeah.
timing, right?
Yeah.
So now I can finally farm Aura Sing because I finished L337, so I'm pretty stoked about that, and hopefully find a new well, I don't know. We'll see if Aura Sing can even get close to these Boba phase 3 teams, but I'm looking forward to playing around with her in the Heroic Sith raid. So you were talking about you keep getting these thermal detonator Gear 12 plus pieces and just acting like you had a surplus of them. Well, I finally equipped my first Gear 12 plus piece for the first time this week. So there's the other side to that.
What was it?
I don't know. I got my game open here. I'll tell you. I put it on Revan, so
Ooh, good choice.
I needed that 6 speed, but it was the Mark 12 Armor-Tech data pad. So health, tactics, speed, resistance, and special crit chance. So
I put that same piece on my Revan this week as well.
Nice.
I need about 16 more pieces of the med pack. That's Gear 12, the Gear 12 piece, and then I will be able to equip another one on him. So they're both going to go to him first because that speed is just brutal in the arena if you don't have it. So
yeah, it's kind of important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it makes mirror matches just instantly easier if you are the one going first.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because if they're not doing direct focus on their first Revan turn, perfect.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the best way to beat a Revan team is make sure that you're not getting that direct focus.
And mine's a little RNG too because I run Chewbacca. So if Chewbacca gets, if the direct focus goes on him from the start and they just take him out immediately, that whole fight's going to be about 10 times
it's gonna
as
be
hard.
Yeah, it's gonna be a whole lot harder.
Yeah, exactly. I Gear 12 Bastila and I Gear 12 Chewbacca this week. So
Nice.
on to
Very
Jolie. I saw, we'll talk about this in the Road Ahead stuff, but if you haven't seen it, Carrie has already said that General Grievous rework is not scheduled for this quarter. So I'm not gonna gear General Grievous like I planned on. So I'm going straight to Jolie now, and yeah. But the problem with Jolie is he's about to be Gear 9, but he needs a stun gun. And I swear to God, I have been farming stun guns for literally 2 weeks. That's all the extra energy I have has been stun guns for 2 straight weeks. And let me tell you, that makes for a very fun game experience. I can tell you that much.
No, it doesn't. You're a liar. You lie.
You caught me. Oh, man. I am so tired of that node. Oh, get me off it.
Dude, that's actually, we'll get to this, but it would be nice if they would update challenges and put some freaking stun guns in the challenges.
Oh,
anywhere.
Yeah. I want a stun gun heist. Let me throw my scoundrels in the stun gun heist. You know, good to go.
You can only use
stun guns and stun cuffs.
You can only use characters that need stun guns. Oh, joke's on you! It's the entire roster.
You didn't limit much there at all. Not exactly.
Oh, man.
Remember last week I told you the story of how I was 9th in, the Sith raid and thought I was going to get top 10 for the first time? The exact same situation played out twice this week where I was 9 going into Phase 4 and wound up 12th and 13th this week. So I am locked out of the top 10 right now. So I need to start hitting Phase 1 more often, and then maybe I'll have a better chance. But man, being that close and thinking, and there's no guarantee you get a full piece of Gear 12 Plus, but just the chance of having it just feels so much better. So
and the amount of salvage you get is so much better. You're getting at least half, of a piece. So I mean,
exactly.
two top 10 finishes, and you basically got a piece of gear. So it makes a difference.
Well, none of this would be possible without Revan. So thanks for those 8 million scores in Phase 2. It feels like cheating.
Yeah,
it does. I mean, that team is just absolutely badass. It's so easy, and you're obviously doing that. What is your strategy for Revan's special buff? I kind of just volley it back and forth between him and Grandmaster Yoda.
Yep, that's pretty much all I do. I slap it back and forth between the two, and then anytime his AoE heal that swaps turn meters up, I swap turn meter with Grandmaster Yoda. I just keep it going back and forth and back and forth. Which is why, 66% of the score comes straight from Grandmaster Yoda, because he's just going off. It's crazy.
Dude's a monster. He is just so much fun. That is that might be my favorite rework in this entire game. Like, just finally getting to use Grandmaster Yoda in every aspect of the game is amazing.
Yeah, very welcome change after they nerfed him after he was initially introduced to the game. That was very disappointing. He was a great character, but I guess they decided that a little green gremlin looking dude out damaging the entire every other character in the game was too much, so he got the nerf stick. But still, I'm glad the rework went the way it did, because it was a fantastic rework.
And until Bastila was put in, his leader ability with the Zeta totally changed the Jedis.
It worked out fantastic.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Never use it anymore. Total waste now, but it was fun there for that week.
Exactly.
No.
All right. Anything else you guys want to discuss that you did in SWGOH this week?
I really want to get into the road ahead, so let's go there.
All right. Let's play this.
Hold on.
Strong with us, this update is Young Padawans.
Is the road ahead sounder not on the soundboard?
It's not.
Literally the only time you could use it, and it's not on there.
Okay.
Oh man.
I know. Okay, so
but
I'll be
you weren't
honest,
home
I
all
don't
day,
remember
and you
what
didn't know it was
that
being
from.
posted.
I don't think I cut it.
Oh, really? I thought you played me it before. All right, never mind. Let's talk about Roadhead.
I think I cut that part, but I don't remember. Yeah.
I just said it again, so there you go.
I'm gonna have to dig back and find that, because all right, perfect. The first time was better. There was more context to it. We'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. We'll do something. I don't know. All right. The road alone. The road ahead. They flip it, and it's amazing. It's everything that we wanted, and actually no, a lot of people are disappointed, but we got my #1 requested feature, so I'm kind of excited. You want to start out by just reading the damn thing?
Sure.
I'm working
on
pulling it up. I'm trying to waste time while you...
I got it. I got you. First, I'll talk about the first section here, all right? So the first section here, New feature. So new game mode, basically, called the Grand Arena. All right. So the big feature announcement to round out the year.
Whoa.
The Grand Arena. You are, well, easy, man. Easy. Currently, you can be the best player in your server and dominate the PvP arena. Or you can be a part of the best guild and defeat the guilds in territory wars. However, when we look forward to what we'd like in this game in the future, a big part of our vision is to answer questions like, who is the greatest player in all of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes? Who is the greatest player in all of the galaxy? While we're still a few steps away from the future, we are excited to announce the first step towards that vision, which begins with the opportunity to play PvP across servers. Here's a little about what you can expect. Basically, at the beginning of the Grand Arena event, you will be matched with 7 other players from across the game who have galactic power scores very similar to your own. In the first round, you'll be matched against a random player from your group to essentially fight a mini territory war. You'll then set up defenses, defend your own territories, as well as attack the opponent's territories in an attempt to overcome their defenses. If you earn banners, basically you earn banners like territory wars. Each round you'll be matched with other players who have the same win-loss record as you, and you'll never fight the same opponent twice in the Grand Arena event. You'll earn special rewards for each offensive battle you complete at the end of each of the 3 rounds, and a final set of rewards at the end of the event based on your standing in the 8-player group. We hope you're excited, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so Grand Arena. That's what it is. Let's hear what you guys got.
Go ahead, miss.
I don't think it's that much of a secret that I'm not a big Territory Wars fan. If you've watched my stream or any time that I've joined RSG, you know that my guild likes to make fun of the fact that I place my defenses and then I might go do a couple of attacks. So for me, the time investment for me is whether this is going to be worth it. I mean, knocking out a couple of arena battles is okay, but having to set my own, because I don't know, like it'll be fun because you're not going to be really depending on somebody else, like a guild leader orchestrating your defense. So it's entirely up to you now to set your own defense, which means that hopefully this matchmaking is done on a much better scale than Territory Wars currently is, because I don't want to get matched up. I mean, my personal account, I think, I'm at 3.8 million GP. But I don't want to get matched up against somebody who has, 3.8 million GP, but all of their GP is in like the top half of their roster, and they have a whole bunch of unactivated characters. So the fact that I have almost every character in the game activated. Everybody knows that I don't have Holdo and Rose activated still, but if I get matched up with somebody who has similar GP, but I have a higher GP because I have all of these other characters that are at like level 50, 7 stars, gear 5, whatever, that's kind of artificially boosting my GP. It's not really boosting my GP, but it's you understand what I'm trying to say, where the weight of my GP is more distributed. Than
if you took it out, you might be at 3.8 or
3.5 or 3.6 or whatever it would be if I were to take those characters and take them back to not activated. So I don't know how the matchmaking is going to work. I really hope it isn't something where it's like, you have to set like 10 defense teams or however many territories they identify. I mean, if it's just a 1v1, I couldn't imagine it being more than like 3 or 4 territories that you have to put defense in. And I guess with ships, that could be like 4, maybe 5 territories that you have to put defense in, and depending on how many teams you have to set, I hope that's based on GP. Like maybe there's GP brackets where below a certain GP you only have maybe 2 territories. I would imagine that. I mean, I guess it depends on when this event opens up for players. If it opens up after you unlock ships, then that could be interesting. Because then obviously players won't have a chance to get into this until they have ships available. And then at that point, it's like, okay, well, if you're level 60, obviously you just unlocked ships. You're not going to be able to really set much for defense without having ships left over for offense, right? So I hope that they've balanced this out well. I really hope that this goes through a few beta iterations and comes out polished on the other end. Because we've all experienced unpolished content, and nothing is more frustrating because I've worked with developers on other things, not necessarily game related, but other software for work or other things like that, and I can understand. I know that when developers pour their heart and soul into something, like, I mean, you got to know that all the devs working on this game, like they're doing it because they love it, right? Or at least I hope they do. And so I can imagine their frustration when something goes out and then we find all the bugs. You know what I mean? Because there's something to be said when you push something out to millions of players versus a couple hundred players, bugs will come up. And I just hope that they're not big. I really hope they aren't. But I'm skeptical because I'm not a TW fan, but I could see this being a huge hit among players who are really super competitive with TW.
Yeah,
So, I think more so than TW, it's people like me who love the arena. That is my favorite aspect of the whole game. Go ahead, go.
Literally the opposite of what I was just going to say.
Go on a tangent.
Because literally the opposite of what I was going to say. Because if you're a fan of the arena, claiming to be the best is going to be really hard in something based on Territory Wars system. Because in Territory Wars, you set a defense, and what you set on defense, you can't use on offense. But in the arena, what you set on defense, you also use on offense. So comparing being an arena fan, I would want to use something I set on defense on offense as well, right? So it's more for, in my opinion, it's more for Territory Wars fans than arena fans. Or PvP fans in general, it's good for. But I don't see, comparing this to an arena, it's really kind of, unless you can set your defense and those same teams are still available on offense, then it's totally different. But if it's like Territory Wars where you got to set a defense and then you can't use them on offense, then it's not like arena to me.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I didn't mean to.
I'm predicting that there. Oh, you're fine. So I'm predicting that there will be 3 to 5 teams that you set on your defense. That seems like a pretty logical number, especially in the higher tier GP, wherever you get a wider roster. That would be between 6 and 10 teams that you need total, based on the territory war aspect like we're talking about. And the reason I like this for arena, as an arena fan, the reason I'm excited about this is because of arena is so much about building a team that can hold on defense or that can just take out people on offense. Like, there are a lot of people that use different teams on offense and different teams on defense. I only use one, but for example, like right now, if you don't have Revan, you kind of have to set up an offensive team to where you can take down the Revan teams. It's like paper, rock, scissors, and you have to know when to use the rock versus when to use the paper. And that's the part that I'm excited about, is I kind of like that sort of cat and mouse game to some extent that you get in arena from time to time, and as far as teams to problem territory, so when you have it, kind of takes away some responsibility from you directly. So like if you can't play or something, you can unload on defense, or you just like battling, you can unload on offense. You don't have to be that strategic about your team setups and everything. But I feel like this, to actually be really good and finish in at least the top half most of the time, you're going to have multiple teams set up, modded, and actually set up to do a really good job in an arena-style battle. And I think Territory War doesn't necessarily cater to that quite as much, just due to the overall volume of teams. With the fewer number of teams, I think you're going to see a lot more, precision with having to have these teams modded properly. And that's the part I'm looking forward to, is having multiple teams that I can set up and try to make awesome, versus like right now, just like when we go into a Territory War, like my Chewbacca has offense mods on him, I don't really care. But something like this, I'm going to be like, well, that's not going to stay that way. I need to go in, I need to remod Chewbacca and get him ready to go in an arena-style battle so I can, kick someone's ass or whatever. And the other thing, I really wish that we're going to go down this road, because like sandbaggers like Elon are going to be in a pretty good spot. I wish I had that audio clip from Wedding Crashers. You sandbagging son of a bitch, like that would be really great for right now, but whatever.
You said it, so it's when you explain the joke,
anyway,
it's just as good.
Whatever. Yeah, so I'm sorry. I'm really excited about this Grand Arena idea. This is the thing that I have been asking for since forever, like just an expanded arena of some sort. I feel like this is a pretty cool way to do it, like an 8-player group. And I'm curious to see what the rewards are. I suspect they will be Territory War-esque, as different tiers going up based on your galactic power, and then there will be a breakdown of rewards from 1 to 8, depending on how you do. And the rewards at the top could be pretty good. I mean, when you're talking about there's only going to be, 12.5% of players in the game are getting that tier reward or whatever. Like, I could see the rewards for this actually being pretty good. I'm very curious to see how often they come up and what the scheduling is on it. Is it going to overlap with Territory Battle? Is it going to overlap with Territory War? Because right now, the game's already a pretty heavy investment of time. So that is the only thing that I'm really concerned about. But if it's like each round lasts a day, to where you kind of have some time to set your defense and everything, I don't think it'll be that problematic, since kind of do it on your own time, and you won't be forced into doing arena. It's like 6 p.m. I got to make sure I'm at, first in my arena. Unlike this, kind of like, well, you got 24 hours, go in, do what you need to do, and you're good to go.
See, that last point you had there was what I was thinking about as my last point to the Grand Arena, but when I heard this announced, I wasn't that excited about it, because it basically, to me, was Territory Wars. But the part that does make it good, that I don't like about Territory Wars, is Territory Wars is a time-consuming thing, because everything is time-gated to 50 people working towards getting through pieces and parts, and then the next phase is open, and whatever time that opens, you need to be in there to get your fight in, and whatever. It's a lot of it is based on getting 50 people together to do something, which can take 12 hours, 24 hours, the whole time, half the time, whatever. But with this, what I just was thinking is, this cuts out what I don't like about Territory Wars completely, and makes it all dependent on me and when I want to do it. So if I want to fight my battles all at one time here, or if I want to do one here, one later here, I'm not holding up the guild. I'm not holding anyone up but myself, and I can enjoy the time I have to give to it and choose that time rather than do it at the guild's leisure, So that's one thing that kind of makes it more interesting for me.
That is a good point. That is a really good point, because I think that a lot of people kind of have that same issue with Territory Wars, where it's like, okay, I gotta get it. And then the sniping issue where, if you have guildmates who aren't you don't necessarily wait for other people to go in and try an attack on a target again. You know, you run into those situations where you completely lose the opportunity to finish off a team that you started, and that can be really frustrating for some people. And then you also don't have to worry about somebody else leaving a team with full turn meter.
Oh yeah.
So
sure.
I guess you do get rid of those little quirks about territory wars that inevitably piss somebody off. Somebody in your guild hates you for leaving your an enemy team with full turn meter. So yeah, I think there's a chance that this will be better than I expect it to be. But like I said, I'm a skeptic. I am a big fat skeptic.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. It's just interesting.
Yep. We will see.
Yeah, it's inevitable. We will see. It's coming, regardless.
Yeah, this is true. Whether I like it or
not. Next up, new feature.
Cool.
This one has caught everyone by surprise. Player-controlled payout/time zone changes. So the single most common quality of life request we've heard in recent months is to allow player-controlled payout time zone changes. Like the server sharding system, this was a feature that worked for a time, but we recognize you live all over the world, lead complicated lives, and that the forced 6 p.m. is the time zone you originally logged in on has been a great inconvenience for many of you. To help with this, we have introduced the ability to change payouts up to 2 times a year. The timer starts when you change your time zone. The ability will be otherwise unbounded, so watch out, all of you in Alaska and Greenland. There are probably hordes of people coming for your time zone. In conjunction with the shardless 1v1 PvP, this begins to give you all opportunities to explore competition outside of your shards, and we are excited about that. I got some ideas from a few people in our podcast chat about the wording in this. Also don't have official word on whether or not my ideas work the way they do or not, but I'll go into that in a second. I want to ask, yeah, that's just teasers there. Anyways, what do you guys think about this?
It's very welcome change. It's kind of weird that they force you into this one specific time for such an important aspect of the game. It's incredibly inconvenient. It's the most inconvenient part of the entire game, in my opinion. I mean, everything else can be done wherever the hell you want it to be, but no, this one specific thing, you got to do it this time. The other thing is this does control when you get your energy as well. So if you change your arena payout, your energy time's gonna fluctuate. So you have that really big gap between your last energy of the day and your first energy of the next day, and you'll kind of want to work around that if you're going to be one of those people that's fluctuating with this. I know, Dan, you're going to be pumped because you sleep through the midday free energy, and this is going to be huge for people like you. Somebody like me, I wouldn't mind moving my back a couple of hours, but if I move it back, if I move it back too much, I'll be missing the late energy. My arena's not too bad of a time currently the way it is, so I don't mind it too much, but this is going to make a hell of a lot of people happy. I did not expect to see this anytime soon, but I'm very pleased. Miss, what do you think?
So, Carrie alluded to this several months back in a post that she made on Reddit. It was a comment that she had made on Reddit where she was alluding to the fact that they were thinking about letting people make changes to their arena payout. And I think that the fact that they're allowing people 2 changes per year is really nice, so that people who live in daylight savings time zones can easily change to a time that they like, and then change it to maybe an hour ahead or an hour behind that time when daylight saving time hits them again, so that they can keep their arena payout at the same time. So me personally, I get home around 5 o'clock, 5:15, sometimes as late as 5:30 in the afternoon. So when I get home, if I'm immediately jumping on my phone and doing arena battles, I'm getting wife aggro, like hardcore. So, for me, I would definitely be moving that back. I would be moving my arena payout to like 10 o'clock p.m. because that's when I'm sitting in my bed getting all, ready to go to sleep. And I'm like doing my last little things in Galaxy of Heroes, and then that's usually when my last little energy hits, right? So I'm online getting that last little energy thing for a while right there. So I wouldn't mind having my ship and my regular arena payouts at the exact same time, because then I'm not stressing about, oh my God, now I've got an hour until my ship's payout. It's like, I just want them both at the same time so I can be like, okay, I'm going to finish my arena battle, and then I'm going to go over and do a ship battle since I've got another 6 minutes before I can do another regular arena battle. So, why not make the best of my, or the most, make the most of the time that I'm spending in game. So I will definitely be taking advantage of this, moving my payout out a couple hours, because right when I get home from work is not when I am online. So I'm super jazzed about this. I think the Grandmaster Snooze Fest that this Road Ahead blog is, this is like the one shiny piece that I'm like, ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, I could say for myself,
you're totally fine with basically giving up the 45 free energy. I think we're having a slight lag issue. So you're fine with giving up the 45 free energy to have a more convenient arena payout time, right?
So I guess I missed that part of the details where it changes your entire schedule, or does it just change? So it moves your entire schedule out.
So what was said by CG Carry on the forum, I have the picture right here on my phone. I'm sorry I can't bring it up on the stream to show everyone, but it says, someone said payouts are always connected, mentioning energy refreshes and times to when your shard is. And she said, this period, everything is connected in a fixed way. So energy, times, payouts, etc. When you change your payout, everything will move accordingly to retain the same distance apart. So, but let me just offer for my specific situation, why that doesn't bother me as much. So why I think this is good for me. I work nights, right? I work from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So half the week I'm off because I get 3 and 4 day weekends. So half the week I can fight in my arena payout if I'm not making dinner at that time. And the other half I'm driving to work. So it's either drive safely or try to get an arena battle started and start simming it while driving, which I don't usually enjoy the life or death scenario there. So
we do not support playing SWGOH while driving, just to be clear.
Well, at one point I was so addicted to the arena.
Listening to podcasts while driving.
At one point I was so addicted to the arena that I would pull over every 8 minutes into a parking lot, do an arena battle, and then continue driving to work. So yes, don't do it while driving. But for me, switching it up to, I'm thinking about, I want to switch it to Honolulu time, right? So Honolulu time is 3 hours behind me. 3 hours behind me would put my payout between 9 and 10. I'm always awake then at home during that time anyway, and I'm also, that's 3 hours after I've been at work, and I can usually find the time in that hour to fight my arena battles at work, because by that time all the beginning of shift stuff has settled in and you're settled into work or whatever. So that would work for me. the other part to it with energy, even if the energy does change, losing half the week I'll be at work and I can get it anyway. And then the other part to it is working nights, I sleep during the day. So if I sleep during the day, for the most part during the week, I miss the 12 o'clock energy.
Yeah,
so
right.
the most important one I'm missing. So if I were to throw out missing the noon one or the 9 one, I would get rid of the 9 one in a heartbeat. So yeah, I'm okay with that aspect of it. So, and it would only be
I do kind of wonder if.
Go ahead.
Or I was gonna say, I do wonder if the way they did the new free energy, how they stacked it, the mod energy and the fleet energy, when they added those, and that to the noon and the payout time energy. I wonder if this kind of played into it, because just giving up that 45 energy after payouts, not a huge cost to get a later arena payout and get into a better slot. So this is kind of one of those times where, because this was something we talked about previously, you were kind of wishing they would have added something to the 10 o'clock slot, but now with this, it's really, really convenient that they did not do that.
Yep, for sure. And then if I do change to a later payout, it'll be better for me in the end. So, yeah, totally fine with it.
Yep.
And so let me bring up the wording. And this was a question I brought up in podcast chat, and obviously we don't have an answer for it yet. Hopefully we will within the next week or whenever they put out more information about this. But I said in podcast chat, I'm like, I wonder if changing your payout will change your shard as well.
I really hope not.
Yeah. So there's a couple things to that, right? So I know that, well, I don't know this. I have to think that, I don't even know if I can say that. Shard chats. I don't know how CG feels about them, right? But it would seem like this. If you were to be given 2 time zone changes a year, and those time zones, every time you used them, you got thrown into a different shard, with enough people doing them, they could be flipping these around that way. That would effectively get rid of them for the most part, because then you wouldn't have to, you'd have to find it, use it for 6 months, 2 months, whatever you did for your timeout change.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
It would kind of get rid of that. So I kind of wondered if people can change their payouts now if they call customer support. People that do that do not change shards. So I got to think that might be the same here, but this is all new tech as well. Depending on how you do it, whether you have to call someone to do it and you get 2 of them a year you can call and do it, or if it's something in game, I don't know how you're going to do it, So
I'm sure it'll be in game. They're not gonna commit to something like this that actually takes up people's time.
No, right?
I'm almost certain this will be an in-game thing.
So if it is,
support would kill them.
Yeah, exactly. If it were in game, then that's all new code that they've put in, right? So that means there's a chance that that's part of the code, that change your payout rather than whatever goes on there with the changing of times. Just throw everyone changing their payouts into a new shard and go from there. And for people that were talking about this in the podcast chat, where there's 30,000 people in a shard, yes and no. There's probably 2,000 people in a shard, and then a whole bunch of accounts that were created and then never played. So
that's true. This is very true.
Yeah, if they make a new shard out of people changing their payout times, they're gonna fill those, if they did them by 2,000 increments, really quickly. So I don't know if that's a reason that they wouldn't be doing it. But someone, Ypez Trench sent me a message after I brought this up in chat, and he pointed out some of the wording in the Road Ahead post. Let me just read this to you. And this is what he said. Put your tinfoil hat on. I think they are going to move people to different shards if they choose to change their payout time. The last part of the payout change section of the post says, in conjunction with shardless 1v1 PvP, this being payout changes, this begins to give you all opportunities to explore competition outside of your shards, and we are excited about that.
The shardless PvP, I believe, is referring to the thing directly above that, because it says in conjunction with, like it's connected to the grand arena that we just discussed. That was the way I interpreted that. I don't know exactly what they mean, but I think what they're talking about is just do what?
That beginning part of that sentence, that comma, basically means this sentence, if you took that part off, would be a full sentence, right? And this begins is not in the territory, or not in the grand arena section, but in the player controlled payout section is where this is. In conjunction with means these two things together. This begins to give you all opportunities to explore competition outside of your shard. I can see your side and I can see his side, because I don't know why this would even be added there at the bottom of that section if it wasn't somehow related. You know what I mean?
Right. I
assume there will be some sort of time aspect to the grand arena. I mean, there's going to have to be cutoff times based on when you set defenses and stuff. And I assume that's probably how they're going to correlate who battles each other. Because if, like, my arena payouts at 6 my time, someone else's is at noon my time, it wouldn't make any sense to make those people go against each other unless they do use a universal time like they do with territory war, which is possible. But what were you going to say, Miss?
I was going to say I know that there have been the question has been asked in our game change. Other game changers have asked this same question, so I'm hoping that we can find the answer to this very soon. Hopefully after the weekend, very soon after the weekend. This is what really sucks when they drop stuff on us at the end of the business day on a Friday, right before a weekend, because inevitably we have all these questions and we're all like, well, what about this? What about that? Well, what about this? You weren't very clear on this fact, and so this is one of those sentences that really makes you go, what are you trying to do, CG? Are you trying to shake up my arena shard chat because me no likey?
I like these guys.
I'll deal with a 6 p.m. payout to keep my shard chat. So I don't know. I mean, I can see where it says in conjunction with shardless PvE, player-controlled payout begins to give you all opportunities to explore competition outside of your shards. I definitely will not be taking advantage of changing my payout time until I know the answer of this. So
think of this.
That's completely fair. And
think of this as well. If you have
expect that.
Think of this as well.
Okay, just real quick for everybody listening to the show, the podcast, we are having some slight lagging issues. So some of the overlapping talking, it's tech issues. So go ahead.
So me and Wink are interrupting each other more than normal. If it just seems out of control today, that is why. But what I was going to say is, think of it from the other side of non-shard chat users, right? How many people have complained about shard chats and being locked out in their payout because they're not a part of it and they can't do anything in there? You know, those people specifically would love to be in a new shard or for everyone in their payout to move to a different payout. But those people specifically would love a new shard. Yep. So that's another point to the idea of a shard change that makes me think that this might be pointing to that. Just an idea.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I don't really disagree with that point, but I would still be surprised. Like I said, the way I read it, I think it's referring to the Grand Arena. Just talking outside of your shards. It's talking like your shards. Like it's almost like it's a fixed type thing. I don't know. We will see. We will see. And we'll get clarification on this next week. If we do hear something, we'll make sure to post it in our Discord, discord.me/shatteredorder. Make sure you check there. And, you know, if we hear any sort of updates about this, we'll make sure to let you guys know about that, so you know.
What's up next, Wink?
All right. Let's move on to the next thing. New content, KOTOR Companions. With the release of Jedi Knight Revan, we brought one of the most often requested characters into Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. The excitement in the community has been palpable for weeks. Many of you just to solve the reveal cipher was a really special moment for the game team to watch. We're excited to continue a celebration of the 15th anniversary of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic with additional companions in the coming weeks. Keep an eye out for an upcoming announcement about which Old Republic era characters are coming to the holotable next. Additional companions. Is this strictly talking about characters? The way it's worded, it sounds like they're talking about something and then talking about characters, but it could just be characters. I know there are for sure characters coming. I don't know if there's anything more coming with that, but I don't know what more Old Republic characters they could add because I am not familiar with the game, but I would like to see more Sith, and I would like to see more Jedi, so cross your fingers. What do you think, man?
So, one of the very first characters that you meet when you start the game, Knights of the Old Republic, is Cartho Nassi. Cartho Nassi is the fellow Republic soldier who basically wakes you up and leads you off the Endar Spire, and he is basically the one character that follows you through virtually the entire game, right? And he is not in the game. The way I read this Knights of the Old Republic Companions is because in the actual game, all of those other characters, aside from your playable character, which is Revan, they're kind of referred to as your companions.
Spoilers!
So, yes, I know. I know, spoiler alert, if you haven't played Knights of the Old Republic from 2004, sorry, I guess. Some of the people watching this stream probably weren't alive when this game came out. So, so Cartho Nassi is obviously not in the game. Juhani is actually another character that is not in the game. And then when you go to Knights of the Old Republic 2, that's when you get into a whole other list of characters that are not in the game. And this is going to be a whole lot of other characters that a lot of people will probably not recognize, because Knights of the Old Republic 2, while being a blast, did not have quite the same level of impact on a lot of people. So there are a lot of characters that you played through Knights of the Old Republic 2 with, and I don't know if they're necessarily going to bring any of those characters into the game, because they haven't really brought many aside from the Triumvirate. So, I mean, they did bring in Visas Mar, but I don't know if they're going to bring any of the other characters from Knights of the Old Republic 2. But we do have Jolie Bindo, Bastila Shan, Zalbar, Mission, and T3. We just don't have Cartho Nassi. And of course, we also have HK-47. HK-47 obviously was in the game from the get-go, and that was like my one clue when I joined the game, or when I started playing the game. Well, I was like, okay, there's a chance. There's a chance that I'm going to see Revan in this game at some point. So, obviously, nearly 3 years later, here he is. Of course, I didn't get him, but, you know, that's beside the point. He's in the game. That's what matters.
Yet.
Yes, yet. That is the key word. Still farming those Old Republic, man. Cartho Nassi, I think, is probably the highest probability to show up in the near future. If I was a betting man, I'd put my money on Cartho Nassi as the next Old Republic character to come to the game.
It's really nice to have someone on the show that actually has played that game.
I'm actually playing through it again.
That's
It's in my 360 right over there. I started playing it again. I started another playthrough.
Yeah, we're like we were both like, anytime they put out a new KOTOR character, we're like, oh, well, that kit looks fun. I don't know who that is, but the kit looks awesome. You know, so
Yeah.
so whatever new characters they're coming out with, it's good to hear. Even if they don't, it's good to know a few new. So we'll see what happens. It's kind of, but here's okay. So we haven't finished reading the road ahead yet, but they've already talking about new KOTOR companions. So still kind of celebrating that 15-year anniversary for KOTOR. We had the 10-year anniversary of the Clone Wars, and the only celebration we know of is this terrible drop rate box on mod battles. And that's it. Is anyone else just a little disappointed that we, as far as the road ahead goes, it looks like we're not getting much in the way of Clone Wars?
So I really hope, because I'm sure that a lot of you out there follow Arnold T101, and he tweeted out a screenshot of a post that Carrie made on the forums implying, I use this word very loosely, that General Grievous rework is not happening this quarter. I really hope that she is just lying through her teeth, because not reworking Grievous during the 10-year anniversary of the Clone Wars, while other EA Star Wars titles are celebrating not just the Clone Wars, but General Grievous. I'm looking at you, Battlefront 2.
Yep.
They are missing out on a huge opportunity to capitalize on a wave, right? Adding helmets to the clones, okay. There's like three and a half Redditors that were like got hard-ons for that one, right? Otherwise, a lot of players were just like, okay, that's cool. Thanks, I guess. Doesn't affect my gameplay at all, but it's cool, I guess. Whereas a General Grievous rework, they already reworked him in Territory Wars. Why not just tweak the numbers a little and make that what General Grievous does normally?
Something, please.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I have to rant for 1 second, because GoodNightPunk,
for it.
you let this jack out of the box, and now it's out there. These bloody Clone Wars celebration drops. They're gonna be at PAX featuring General Kenobi, General Grievous, and Jango Fett shards. No, not shards. Shard. One. I go one Jango shard. I am 1 out of 30 on Jango. I saved up. How much energy did I have? 1,700 energy, because I saved up. I maxed out my energy. I did my 350 crystal refresh, 100 crystal refreshes, and bought the 600 energy pack, and blew all of that. I got 600 shard shop currency from the shards I got, and 1 Jango shard. In all fairness, I did also get 1 Aura Sing shard. I mean, like, I generally do the 100 crystal refreshes on mod energy anyway, just because I like slicing mods, and so getting shop currency is great. But they didn't lie about what the packs were going to include. I do feel like it was a little misleading. It made us kind of think,
very misleading.
Let me, I have,
you know,
okay, so if you could see my phone.
There were a lot of, hold on. There were a lot of posts on Reddit and the forums talking about how CG lied about it. They didn't lie.
No, they did not.
But
That's
it
what
was
I'm...
misleading.
So let me read this and just make a few changes. How's that? In celebration of the 10th anniversary of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, for a limited time, all mod battles, Stage 9 nodes may also award bonus shards for select characters featured in the animated series, including Coruscant Underworld Police, Jedi Knight Guardian, and Cad Bane. How's that? I'd feel a little better. That would have made me feel a little better. I would have known what to expect then.
Yeah.
Because it does say select characters, including, meaning here's a large chunk, and let me name off 3 of the best ones you can get.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. That kind of...
Yeah. It would be like... It's like the lottery people saying, you know, hey, you know, go spend $2 and buy one of these tickets, and as a prize, you could win $5 million. You're not gonna win the $5 million or $500 million or whatever it is. It's like, it's just, you're not lying. I don't. It just seems like an odd choice for a celebration reward. Like if it was more Django shards, like if it was actual Django shards, I think people would be absolutely loading up on spending mod energy. But when it's a bunch of characters that so many people have at 7-star or so many people don't care about, I kind of think it's more it's either just them doing it just to do it, or there's a hidden message behind it. And that is my other conspiracy theory on this, is that this is more of a hint toward you might want to prepare your Clone Wars characters for some event that might be coming. Because otherwise, I don't know what the point was. I'm done.
You know what's funny is when you talked about the lottery, I was going to see, but in the lottery, you can win nothing. In this, you at least get a shard. And then I realized, but you don't get a box on every sim. So you don't get a shard every time. You can walk away with nothing. So, never mind. No.
I feel like the
whatever.
box. I feel like the box
I
itself.
prefer stuff to nothing, but
I feel like the box itself is kind of like a veteran player like myself or a mega whale going out and saying, "Man, I didn't go out and get this character to 7 stars through the little special pack that they offered when we were marquee character. Let me go to the chromium packs and try and max this character out." You're gonna get thousands of shards that you don't need before you get the 330 shards of the one character you do need. So, yeah, they're nice, like you said, for shard store currency. And for some players who don't have a lot of Clone Wars era characters, I mean, I've looked at the list. It's ridiculous. Let's see. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of 6 shards. So literally 36 different characters that you could get a shard for. Shard. Or 5, I guess. I'm sure it's like a 1 in a million chance of getting a 5 shard drop. I guess for some players, you know, you're probably out there going, yay, I get mod slicing materials and I get shards for these characters that I don't have yet at 7 stars. So for, I'd say, a large number of the player base, probably not the vast majority, because I think the community is probably fairly well split between long playing players who have a large number of their roster at 7 stars, and then new players or new-ish players who may have a couple dozen characters at 7 stars, or maybe not even any characters at 7 stars. So for those players, this is awesome. This is incredible because it's like free shards. You know, it's like, hey, I was going to get slicing mats anyway. Now I get shards with them. Sweet. You know, I don't get to control what those character shards are. It may be the Jedi Knight Guardian, who's pretty worthless, or it could be Rex, who is amazing. So, or General Kenobi. You know, General Kenobi's freaking awesome. And for those players who haven't unlocked him yet, if you get just 1 shard, just 1 General Kenobi shard, which, I mean, if you're logging into the game, you're getting a bunch of General Kenobi shards, you're preventing yourself from getting stuck at that 144 out of 145 shards. So just so you know.
Which happens to a lot of people.
It happens to everybody
But yeah,
who
that
didn't get any bonus shards. So, well, or didn't place in the top. Was it 3? If you,
pretty much.
yeah. So, yeah,
I don't know.
it's not
But
bad.
yeah, that's true. And it's better than nothing. Like I said, it does make
Yeah,
those
definitely.
refreshes worth a little bit more because I spent the normal energy that I would anyway, and I got what 15 to 20 purple pieces equivalent worth of charge up currency. So I mean, like I said, it's better than nothing. It feels like it was a little overhyped for what you ended up getting. But
Oh yeah, definitely.
whatever. Let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. New content from original trilogy. To round out the year, we're going to continue our exploration of the original trilogy universe. While we've dipped into this era previously, there are still so many iconic characters and ships that we want to bring to the game from this time period. You can definitely count on some teases and puzzles from Crumb in the coming months. Stay tuned. So, this is exciting. Jedi Luke and C-3PO obviously stick out. Jedi Luke's X-Wing obviously sticks out. There are so many options they could go with from the original trilogy. This, I think, is so awesome. And the other thing I thought is, if you don't have Hermit Yoda ready, I would be really shocked if he's not used for Jedi Luke. And if this is kind of hinting towards Jedi Luke, you might want to get that farming done.
I have a feeling that this is not hitting towards Jedi Luke, but what
C-3PO.
Yes! You and me are on the same page because all I've wanted is C-3PO, and I only want him if he takes Ewoks because I got all my Ewoks, Gear 12, with Zetas, ready to go. Make that a thing so I have to do nothing to get him, and I will be ecstatic. All I'm saying. All I'm saying.
Me. You're
OT
killing me.
C-3PO. I think a new journey.
Possible.
Well, I was gonna say I think a new journey character this quick wouldn't make sense, but RJT was what 3 months after CLS or something like that, or was it a year? A year and 3 months. I can't remember.
Well, I think it was between August to December. I think it was August to December. They had CLS, BB-8, and RJT that all came. So that second half of the year was loaded.
Yeah, okay,
And
so
it's
it
kinda
was
like
in
what
the
we're doing
same
right
year.
now.
then.
We had Chewbacca, Revan, really quick.
No,
Yeah.
because
So,
CLS
a
reigned supreme
C-3PO
in
event.
CLS reigned supreme in Arena by himself for like at least 6 months before I think RJT came out. I don't know when it was, but
I think CLS was August, and then RJT was that December. So, yeah, that's roughly 6 months. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, so then the
I think
timing
it was
could be, but
CLS,
I mean,
August, BB-8 September.
Revan to December Jedi Luke would be 2 months, 2 or 3 months. I don't think that's gonna happen. So I think you're more likely now that we have Chewbacca in the game
Yeah.
to see like a Falcon or a C-3PO, like
Yes.
like Miss was saying. So I think those are more likely. I don't know a ton of main characters from the OT that are missing. There's some offshoots. We talked about this in podcast chat again when this all came out, but like for me, Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba would be awesome. People talked about Jabba, Bib Fortuna, Salacious
Jabba.
Crub.
That'd be awesome.
I don't know how that would happen either, but I have to believe it might happen. I don't know.
I mean, you
Maybe-
could see maybe different. I mean, because we already have 5 Han Solos, so what's another Lando Calrissian? You know, you could see Lando in his cool little the
Bounty hunter costume.
Jabba's palace. Yeah, the bounty
Yeah.
hunter costume. We could see Leia in her bounty hunter costume.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see a Carbonite Han. That's just I
be
think that's a stretch.
So
That
bad.
would be a
Like,
very sick Han, though. Dude, he would be the best tank ever. Look
Oh,
what
he
they
would.
did with Hermit Yoda. He doesn't actually do anything. He has abilities that do things, but he doesn't attack or anything. That could be like Carbonite Han. He's a tank, and you can't kill him. What if he's
So-
the tank that you can't kill? That like keeps getting taunt, but you have to kill the other 4 characters in order to win the battle, but he can never die. Like, be awesome.
I'm sorry, I just got distracted by the emojis in our live chat. That's pretty awesome.
Oh yes.
Beautiful. All right, so
And
Yeah.
the other thing is,
go ahead.
go ahead.
I
Well, I
had
was gonna
nothing.
say,
I was just kind of keep
What
going.
I wouldn't be surprised. So we just had Chewbacca. We know he's going to come back at some point. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to maybe see Chewbacca come back, and then maybe like a Falcon event that requires him and Han Solo, or maybe like you said, the Ewok event that required a C-3PO. Maybe the bounties are dropping. Maybe those are needed to maybe get Jedi's X or Jedi Luke's or not Jedi, CLS's X-wing or something along those lines. There are definitely a lot of options here, and hopefully we at least get to see a few of these play out.
Yeah, I had completely forgotten about ships, and so I think Millennium Falcon is a fair bet. I mean, just being realistic, it's like the game is 3 years old, and we still don't have the original trilogy Millennium Falcon. We have 3 other
And there
Millennium
are 2 other
Falcons.
Falcons. Yeah.
Or sorry, 2 other Millennium Falcons in the game already.
Yeah.
Where's the OT Millennium Falcon? Like, come on.
Yep.
Come on.
100%. And
So.
Chewbacca was the last missing piece for that. So
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
So if an OT Falcon came to the game, who do you think would be the pilots? Because I know who I think would be appropriate pilots.
I know
I think they
who's
should go
all been
balls to
added to the
wall,
game recently.
Make it, I-
That's true.
I would say Han Solo, Chewbacca, Princess Leia, and Old Ben would be awesome.
See,
Oh,
so
okay.
I would.
Maybe Farm Boy Luke.
So I was thinking because I think Mobile mentioned it on one of the streams or videos he did with Arnold T101 where he made a comment about the typical or that sunshade that you can get for your car that makes your car look like the cockpit of the
got
Millennium
one.
Falcon. So yeah, that has
I'll be right back.
Han, Chewie, yeah. So he's gonna go get it. It's Han, Chewie, Old Ben, and Farm Boy Luke. I think that would be an awesome set of pilots because then I think that would. One other reason I think that would be awesome is that gives a lot of players who invested in Farm Boy Luke for the CLS event the opportunity to actually use Farm Boy Luke somewhere else in the game as well. I think that would be a good way to potentially use that, kind of make use in there. But
Well,
go ahead.
I was gonna say also with that it would be a legendary ship, so there aren't any other ships with 4 pilots, and that would give them a
Right.
lot of leeway for uniques and crew abilities and all kinds of things in that ship to
really
make it do.
Legendary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I think that makes perfect sense. I mean, like you said, there are no other ships that require 4 pilots. The closest we get are Cassian's U-wing, I believe, that requires, I believe it requires Jin, Cassian, K2, and then we have the Phoenix that requires Ezra. Is it Ezra or is it? No, it's not. It's not Ezra. Ezra and Sabine are the Phantom. It's Chopper, Kanan, and I just had a total brain fart. Oh my god.
Chopper, Sabine, and Ezra are in one ship. Phantom,
Okay.
Chopper, Sabine.
so both of them do 3 because Kanan, Zeb,
Oh,
and
that's
Hera are
right,
the other
that's
one.
Right. Kanan, Zeb, and Hera are the other 3. Okay. My bad. That's how bad I am right now. But yeah, so I mean, you only have a few ships with 3 pilots. Otherwise, oh, and I guess Kylo's command shuttle too. Kylo's command shuttle actually requires 3. If I remember correctly, I might be talking out my butthole now.
No, you're good. You got Stormtrooper, Phasma,
Yes.
and Kylo Ren.
No, you're right.
Okay. Yeah.
Officer. Oh, that's right. Phasma.
Okay.
So,
Indeed. All right. We want to move on to this 3rd anniversary saga part. All right. And last but certainly not least, a special note from CG Carey. Quote, 3 years ago, we started on an amazing journey that, thanks to you, continues to this day. We are so incredibly grateful to all of you for continuing to be members of the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes community. We've always thought of you guys like a massively multiplied community and want to honor the investment you've continued to make in our game and team. We have some gifts and events planned for everyone to celebrate with us. We will share more details closer to the start of the event. I look forward to the next 3 years as the stories we have to tell continue to unfold. But more importantly, please know that the things you all do with the game continue to astound and impress us.
you know what astound and impress
You've
me?
enjoyed the sneak peek into Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes futures and what?
If we're doing episode 236, my math was terrible on that. If we're doing an episode 3 years from now, I would be amazed and astounded because that would be a pretty big. Well, I mean, I guess there's plenty of mobile games out there that have lasted that long, but that is it's just hard to believe 3 years from now, still playing the same game. Like, it was hard for me to believe when we first started this podcast that we'd be doing it 2.5 years later as well. So that's just weird to me to think, okay, 3 years from now, what is this game going to be? You know, maybe that should be next week. Let's just wild speculation on what this thing would look like 3 years from now.
I think that we might be able to run out of characters at that point.
Oh god, yes. They're gonna start morphing like Pokemon. That's what's gonna happen. They're like, I've combined my Lobot and my Lando.
Oh god, no. All right. now we're just getting ridiculous. Just getting ridiculous. No, I started laughing while you were reading this because of, a big whatever they've got planned, gifts and events planned. So they've got gifts and events planned. So when you said that, I laughed because I was like, they're going to bring every event that they've ever run in the game back for 2 days. And I was like, in my head, I'm thinking like, oh my God, they're going to bring back the Revan event. And so many people who got Revan the first time are going to be so mad.
And everyone that didn't is going to be like
80
shards off of finishing it. Like, you're like, you didn't give me enough time. How can you bring it back this quickly? I don't have them finished.
It would be so funny, yo.
Yeah. Oh, actually, what they're going to do is bring back more boxes. So.
Oh, boxes. Oh, the memes.
Memes everywhere.
I still want that as a playable character.
You know what? For one time only, there's going to be a
so
tournament on the day of
to discuss.
One-day tournament. They're going to bring tournaments back for one day on the 3rd anniversary.
No.
That would be amazing.
That would be interesting.
So, couple things that I noticed. The road ahead, it didn't, like we said, nothing about General Grievous. Also, the clones. I mean, I was really expecting the road ahead would have something about a clone rework, and nothing. I mean, it's still possible that they're like zoomed out from that, taking a broader view in this. But I kind of figured they might give people a reason to start working on those. But I don't know. I guess. Is there anything else that really stuck out to you guys about the road ahead before we move on to the poll?
Not really. It just, I mean, for being 6 weeks late was a little disappointing, a little underwhelming, but I mean, they didn't really tell us anything that we weren't already speculating aside from the KOTOR. I wasn't really expecting.
Arena.
Yeah, well, the Grand Arena, you had to know something else was coming because it's been over a year since they introduced a new game mode. So, or did Territory Wars come out after Territory Battles?
Yes.
Okay, so then it maybe hasn't been quite a year, but still, it's been a while since a new game mode has been introduced.
And the last mode was PvE, so it was safe to assume that the next one would be a PvP thing, because the last thing was, besides mods,
it was the Sith raid.
With the Sith raid. So
yeah.
TB, T-Dub, Sith raid. Now we got another PvP thing. So hopefully we get some PvE on the next one.
Yeah. I would like to see some more PvE. Something about Territory Battles. I love Territory Battles, so if they were to introduce another, if they were to even if it was another Territory Battles map, I wouldn't mind. because I know that's probably your reaction to Territory Battles.
Not the same as mine to Territory Wars. So bring in one-on-one Territory Wars. You know,
Indeed.
but what can you do?
Yeah. What can you
so
do?
we sent out the poll. We want to go ahead and discuss that.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Since everyone loves a good poll, let's dance through the results and see what you thought this week.
All right. If you don't know, this week in the United States was the midterm elections. So I decided, well, actually I didn't decide. I decided on Wink's ideas that we would do the poll in kind of a theme of midterm elections, as well as we have a segment after this kind of bringing that theme to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So you'll see what that means after the poll. But let's get right into the poll. Kind of asked it as if you were a voter talking about SWGOH. So the first question here I had was best marquee candidate or candidates of 2018. All right. So I didn't expect this person to win, but I can see why they did. So the person out of all the marquees for 2018, the one with the most votes, out of 173 votes, the person with the most votes was Infus Nest with 94. Yeah. Yes, 54% of the vote. So 50% of people voted, said Nest was the best marquee of 2018. And you know what that makes me feel? That makes me feel pretty good, because the only marquee I've ever bought in this game was Nest. So I guess I made a good choice.
Yeah. No, so I personally voted for Infus Nest. Yeah, giving away my vote here. I voted for Infus Nest, and the reason that I think that a lot of people did vote for Infus Nest was because she was one of, if not the only, marquee character that out of the gate had arena viability.
That's true.
You could literally take her 3 stars, Gear 11, which I did, run her in an arena squad with success. So I think that is one of the big factors that played into Enfys Nest being being the winner there. I mean, that's just my take on it.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah, I totally. My vote would have been Bastila Shan, because she obviously brought Jedi back into the meta to some degree.
Another good choice.
You know, she's just fantastic. I'm disappointed in this, though. How does Rose have 3 times as many votes as Holdo? The hell, people!
Sympathy
votes.
No. Those are the sympathy votes.
Yes,
those are the sympathy
they
votes.
have to be sympathy votes, because young Han Solo, who can help you solo the heroic AAT, only had 2 votes to her 3. So I think since you could pick more than one on here, people picked the ones they really agreed with, and 3 people also chose Rose.
Pick more than one.
You could have picked more than one.
That's the American in me. I only picked one candidate.
Let's pretend it's there were some spots you could pick more than one. I mean, but think of it this way as well. Before I fact checked myself, I had left in something that said option 3, and the first person that voted on the poll picked option 3 as well. So there was also one vote for option 3, which isn't even a person. So there's that as well. But the second place person was Darth Scion with 81 votes, 46%. Yeah, well, she actually ended up 4th because 3rd place was, with 40% of the vote and 70 votes, was Bosk. So then 4th became Bastila with 65 votes, or 37%. So
Bosk was another really good marquee that we got.
Yeah, for sure.
Those 4 stood above everyone else by a long shot.
Oh, yeah.
The next closest was 26 votes for Django and First Order Executioner. Kind of interesting that First Order Executioner was above so many other known characters, but yeah, he's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was one of those, I said from the start, that was one of those kits that was 3 abilities, super simple to read, but still super effective. So I'm not surprised by that. He's really
fun.
good. Yeah, exactly. He's a fun one. So that, just to recap for those asking in chat, the top 5 were in order: Nest, Darth Scion, Bosk, Bastila, and then you had Django and First Order Executioner tied for 5th.
Executioner, indeed.
Yep.
Question 2.
The legendary / journey candidate that you most believe in, aka what is your favorite from 2018 so far? There were 2 options: Original Chewbacca and Jedi Knight Revan. And I don't want to say Jedi Knight Revan ran away with it, but he ran away with it. It was 106 votes for him, 61% of people, and 38.7% of people, 67 votes for the original Chewbacca.
So let me say this about the poll. It's fun for me after I put it out. I leave the poll up on my screen in my office, and throughout the day I'll walk in here and check on the poll as the responses come in. And for the first 50 to 60 votes in this whole poll, Chewbacca was at 60% and Revan was at 40%. So over the end of the poll, that pie switched the other way to where Revan won it. But for the most part, throughout the whole thing, Chewbacca was winning it. So I thought that was... It's interesting to see how things move along as things go, because Ness wasn't always in first for best marquee candidate either. But Darth Scion was running away with that for a long time as well. So very interesting.
Yeah. All right.
Question 3.
This one's pretty interesting. Which ride brings the most sense of pride when you see your candidate riding in it? AKA, which marquee ship is best from 2018 so far? Possible options: Lando's Millennium Falcon, Sith Fighter, Houndstooth, Xanadu Blood, IG-2000, the B-28 Extinction Class Bomber, and the ETA-2 Starfighter. This was a complete and total landslide, 81.5%, aka 141 out of the 173 votes voted for Houndstooth. That is crazy.
Okay.
What did y'all think? Is that who you voted for?
Yes. And I want you to tell me. How many people are eating crayons right now because they voted for the Sith Fighter? Because really, I want to know, did the Sith Fighter even get a single vote?
It got 2.
Oh my God. 2 people out there voted for literally the worst ship. Oh my God. Okay, so the Jedi Knights guard, the Jedi Consular Starfighter is better than the Sith Fighter.
There were 2 ships that didn't even get a vote. 2 ships didn't even get a vote. Sith Fighter got 2. So
the B-28 didn't get a vote?
Oh no, there was one ship that didn't get a vote because one.
IG 2000 got 0 votes. Let's see, the B-28, it did get 1 vote.
So three people out there.
Yeah,
eating or they just didn't read the poll right and clicked the wrong button.
That's totally possible. They could have thought it was opposite day or something.
The question was
Lando's
required, so
Millennium
someone
Falcon
could have
got
just
10
clicked on
votes,
something to go to
and
the next one.
True.
That's true. Let's see. The Jedi Knight Anakin Starfighter, he had 9.2% with 16 votes. That was my I like the heck out of that ship. But,
it was a good ship.
Anything else about that question?
Nah, I wasn't surprised at all.
It's awesome.
I was actually more surprised that anybody voted for the Sith fighter than that the Houndstooth won.
I was kind of actually surprised that Lando's Millennium Falcon didn't get more. And I think that might be because a lot of people aren't using it yet. But I think once people get that farmed up, it's going to end up being used a lot more because that is a really good reinforcement ship. So
yeah, it hits hard.
The problem is that you need to gear Lando and L3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where I think it loses a lot of players.
2 pilots makes it. All right. Yep. Let's move on.
Question 4.
Which candidate is most noticeably missing from your ballot? 18. And the possible options are Jedi Luke, Darth Revan, Order 66 Darth Vader, Padme Amidala, C-3PO, or none of these. And this is a pretty nicely divided up little pie chart. 62 votes, 36%. The largest section going to, of course, Jedi Luke. Darth Revan had 25 votes, 14.5%. Order 66 Vader, 10%, 17 votes. Padme, 25 votes, 15%. C-3PO was 29 votes, 17%. And none of these actually got 9% of the votes with 15.
Yep.
What'd y'all think?
I actually voted for Darth Revan. So that was me.
Okay.
That was me. Then the KOTOR in me. I was like, man, got Jedi Knight Revan. Can we get stinking Darth Revan? Yeah, I was a little disappointed. I was like, come on, you can't give me Jedi Knight Revan without Darth Revan.
Without the opposite side.
Yeah.
I have been wanting Order 66 Anakin / Vader. Like, that is... I want that freaking character. I think it would be awesome, and that's the one I was really hoping for. I mean, obviously Jedi Luke, that's an obvious one, as I'm a Jedi fan, but... So I just kind of excluded him, but... I really want Order 66 Anakin. Really.
You know if they bring an Order 66 Anakin into the game, they'll rework General Kenobi and give him a new ability called the High Ground. And if General Kenobi is on the opposing team and you have Order 66 Anakin, he'll immediately turn into Darth Vader. So.
It'll be very similar to Mace's Territory War rework.
Yeah.
With Jango. Like, well, hello there.
I actually thought you were going to say that. I thought you were going to say that when Order 66 Anakin attacks General Kenobi, he loses half health.
Oh,
that would make sense.
that would be a little more appropriate for in-game mechanics. Yes, it would be hilarious. So like. And if they went to if they added a little sound effect, when you clicked on the button, it would pause the game for just a second before he actually took his turn against General Kenobi, and General Kenobi would go, "Don't do it, Anakin." Just play a silly sound clip or something, add just little Easter eggs to the game. I wish they would do little things like that. It'd be so funny. But
That would
Have
be
you ever
pretty
played
awesome, totally.
Overwatch?
no, I haven't.
So the only reason I say that is because in Overwatch, depending on what characters the other team chooses, there's all these little storylines between the characters, like lore-wise. So if you run into another character from the other team during the match, there's a, you know, voiceovers that play in your ear of your character talking to certain types of other characters and back and forth, just like that. It's pretty awesome.
That is cool. That is really cool. Oh man, might have to go and watch some YouTube.
There's a lot of them, and they're pretty cool. What's the next question?
All
What do we got
right,
here?
let's go to
Question number 5.
vote on the recent rework propositions. Which do you most support follow through on? Clones, separatists, including General Grievous, droids, including General Grievous, or Jedi? And this one was split up. Let's see, Jedi and droids each had 42 votes with almost 25% of the votes. And then you had the separatists at 34% of the votes, 58 total. And clones, they had 18% with 31 votes.
What?
Right.
Okay, can I just ask you two? Maybe you know. Why do people want separatists to be reworked?
So I can tell you. Number one,
I don't know.
you've got General Grievous as a big part of the Separatists. Number two, Count Dooku. I think Count Dooku and Grievous are the two biggest reasons that people want Separatists reworked. As well as
That's
I would like
fair.
to see Newt Gunray
Geonosians.
fixed a little bit, and the Geonosians. Their ships are great, and Sun Fac used to be one of the best tanks in the game.
Tanks.
I still use Sun Fac every once in a while in territory wars because so many people forget
Hell
about the
yeah.
fact that he dispels with his basic, and when he's taunting
Counters.
anybody who and he counters. So anytime he gets attacked, he's great against a Bastila team because they're constantly getting buffs. And well, if Sun Fac is taunting, he dispels on his basic, so he strips those buffs off of the enemy team constantly. So
Yep.
he is a really good tank. He needs just a little something to like give him maybe higher tenacity so that he kind of has that more Thrawn-esque type of, once Thrawn, because with Thrawn, if an enemy is fractured, Thrawn has like 100% counter chance and like 100% tenacity. If they were to give Sun Fac a similar type of mechanic, like when he's taunting, he has increased defense and increased tenacity, kind of the same way his ship has increased defense whenever he taunts. That would be really interesting to be able to, give him an opportunity where you can stun him before he taunts, and he's a really slow tank. So you could have that ability to maybe, take him out of the battle by inflicting buff immunity or stun on him and early in the game before he taunts. But after he taunts, he turns into a formidable tank where he has that plus 100% tenacity or plus 200% tenacity or whatever it is to prevent him from being stunned or dazed or whatever, so that he is doing that counter attack, so he gets to make use of that ability. Sun Fac, I mean, like those little tiny tweaks. You don't have to do a full-fledged rework. Just add just a little bit to him to make him good again. Count Dooku's damage is pathetic. Oh my god, he's so pathetic. His basic does like 3,000 damage, non-crit. You're lucky if you're doing over 10,000 damage with a Gear 12 Dooku on his counterattack. His damage is laughable. The only thing that makes him useful in any way, shape, or form is the fact that he can
tap,
stun.
though.
Yes, he can double tap. So you might have the chance of doing 20,000 damage with his basic on a counterattack. But when you think about it, it's like, okay, well, Han Solo does that with just one hit from his counter. So, I mean, Count Dooku, there's a lot of potential with the Separatist faction. It's just not quite there, and it's not quite good enough to be. I mean, arguably the faction that overthrew the Galactic Republic and was the vehicle for the transition to the First Galactic Empire. So you have this faction that has such huge meaning in the Star Wars universe, but in Galaxy Heroes kind of sucks. So for me, that's why I really want a Separatist faction rework. But that's a faction that I've been asking for a rework for like a year. So,
but this is the only reason that
I like the Geonosians.
There's so many characters that need a rework at this point. The idea of touching Dooku again after he's already been reworked bugs me, because that dude should be.
His first rework was so. I mean, it was.
Hey, it was bad. So were Mace's 2 reworks, you know. But like at that point, if you can't get it right the first time, they should be at the bottom of the list, in my opinion. But then the other part to that I do understand is that more people have Dooku geared than, say, if you did a Jedi rework and suddenly Kit Fisto and Plo Koon and these guys were suddenly good, you know.
Now, Plo is good because his ship rocks.
Yes, very true.
His ship is awesome. So I actually have Plo Koon at gear 11. He's actually a pretty easy gear, but I get what you mean. Like, if you were to do a Jedi faction rework, there's so many Jedi that if they were to make some of those Jedi really good, yeah, I don't think they would. I could see them reworking. So I don't think there's so much on faction reworks anymore as doing individual reworks. I think the Bounty Hunters were going to be the last real faction that got reworked. And I think that was because they came out with all those new characters. And they could rework, you know, one character here, one character there. Instead of doing a full faction. I think if they were to do a full faction rework for Separatists, I think Sunfac might get a rework, but you would be far more likely to see just Dooku and Grievous get a rework, because they are kind of the dynamic duo who led the Separatists during the Clone Wars. I think that
think if you
Go ahead.
I think if you rework any of the Geonosians, it needs to be Poggle, because he is literally worth. I had an arena team I used to use him in for the offense up, and he was great for that. But other than that, I have never found a use for that character in this entire game. He is awful.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a
make
ship,
him
so.
do anything.
Okay.
Yeah, see,
so
that could be another ship. It could be another Geonosis. Whatever.
I voted for a droid rework. That's what I really want. But let me just say this. I think that there's a way that they could do a Separatist rework that would still rework the droids as well. Because there's B2s in the Separatists. B2 is an awesome character that just kind of...
He's amazing.
He needs a little bit more to make him viable again. He was viable since the moment he became an Erodium character.
Oh my God, yes.
He was just all over the place in any team, really. But
he was.
You got him. If you rework him, IG-100 and Grievous. If Grievous got a leader ability that worked kind of like, say, Revan's, where it worked for both droids and Separatists, I think you could kind of rework in a way both the droid and Separatist teams at the same time, because you got enough Separatists that are droids that it would work like Bastila and Jolie under Revan, where they get double bonus, and then you could throw other droids in there with them to get maybe half the bonus, like you kind of do with Jedi with Revan now. I would be okay with that as long as a Grievous had droid synergy. If Grievous gets reworked and all it is Separatist, I'm going to be disappointed, because
so
it really needs to be droid centric.
So I think if they did a General Grievous rework, it wouldn't. If they included him with a Separatist rework, they would be completely out of touch with not just Star Wars lore, but the player base as a whole if they skipped his droid synergy. He surrounded himself with IG-100 Magna Guards. So if he doesn't have a Magna Guard synergy, that would be kind of a missed opportunity. He would have to get a rework and not just get synergy with whatever faction he is reworked under or with or in conjunction with. So if they rework him with droids and they didn't add some more separatist synergy to him, obviously I would feel the same way. So I think that with this, I mean, really the big thing is everybody wants the General Grievous rework. The point is he sucks. Dooku is usable. He's passable. He can be used. I use him in my territory wars. He's just you use him for the shock, you use him for the stun, you use him for the ability block. You don't use him for his damage output because it sucks. But Grievous, you can't really use for anything. And so that's, I think, why a lot of people want to see Grievous reworked, because not only was he one of the originally most difficult farms in the game. Oh, yeah. The conversion rate, I think, was like a 30-to-1 for Grievous shards. Like you had to exchange 30 shards for one Grievous shard, or 30 character shards for one bundle of Grievous shards. Whatever it was the conversion ratio was god awful.
Whack.
So
to use old term.
Yes.
Whack.
So I would be okay if they didn't do another Dooku rework. Honestly, he doesn't need a rework. He just needs a damage boost. That's all he needs. He doesn't need a rework at all. His kit is fine. He just needs more damage.
Stats. Give him some stats.
That's all he needs. So literally, if they just kind of like did an under the hood buff for Dooku and reworked Grievous, I'd be happy. Of course, I'd like to see Sunfac reworked, but that's just me.
All right, let's move on to question 6. This is going to be hardest ever, I have a feeling. What is the biggest issue you hope your candidate addresses? This one's really ironic because ask and you shall receive. The options were road ahead and communication, server instability, game affordability, and other. 118 people, 68% of people put road ahead and communication. If you haven't been listening, we covered the road ahead. The game affordability came in at 22% with 38 votes. The server instability had 7 votes at 4%, and then there were 10 people that wrote some stuff in below, and we're going to go over a few of those here. Do y'all have any other takeaways from this one?
Not really. As a free-to-play, it's pretty affordable for me.
I only put that in there just to see how many would choose it, and I'm not surprised at the amount that did. Now, and I'm willing to bet that those people that pressed it are a mixture of free-to-play and people that pay. Because I think that even the people that pay would be happier to spend less. I mean,
oh yeah, who wouldn't like to have a $50 marquee instead of a $350 marquee, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I just put it in there to see. Well, actually, I trying to figure out issues.
Yeah, that's very true.
Without having everyone just write in everything, that was one of the, and server instability. That's just kind of something that's happened in the last 3 weeks. Because holy crap, man, I laid in bed after I got off work the other day and tried to do my alts, spend my alts energy so it didn't max while I slept, and the game literally would not let me in for an hour. So I finally just went, all right, well, I'm not losing any more sleep over this. So that one just kind of bugged me, but
that sucks.
Some of these write-ins have been interesting. A lot of them are trolling us. Let's see. The question was, what 2018 feedback or issues? Yeah, I'll bet you do. What 2018 feedback or issues do you hope are addressed following the midterm elections? The first one in there is the battle for last in the NFC North. For all of those dogging on my Lions,
That's hilarious.
I hate you.
And my Packers. Come on. What the
Yeah,
hell?
yeah. Both of our
okay.
teams
That's okay.
battling for the bottom.
I'm a 49ers fan,
It's
so my
disgusting.
season is painful.
Oh gosh.
Okay. Yeah.
Lose. At least you
I
didn't.
can
At least
imagine.
you didn't
That's
sign Des
so
Bryant
good.
to have him tear an Achilles before his
That's
first game.
no kidding.
No, Jarek McKinnon
Yeah,
just
that's
tore
rough.
his ACL before his first game.
Him, and then you
that's
got,
true.
you know, what's his
Garoppolo.
face?
And then
Garoppolo.
Mostert snapping his arm in half.
Oh, yes. Oh my God. We
Just
just
gonna
can't-
relive that right now.
Can't catch a break. Okay, enough football. This is painful. Let's
So,
more interesting.
all right. Well, back to answers. New levels for Cantina. That would be great. Let's see. Communication, more game modes. The FU platoon requirements and territory battles.
Please,
The
please do something. Even
we-
if you just let it, made it like a month and a half before they dropped in there. Cut the amount of time where they're not free to play and they're in platoons down by half, and I'll still feel a little better. But the fact that like Jedi Revan, the day after his event, was in platoons was just... Or the B-2 Extinction Class Bomber being in there the day of its marquee, like, that was just so rough.
What if they only made new ships be allowed to come into like 2 of the little platoon territories in each section, or if they only would show up at like phase 5 and 6 or something like that? It's just
Any
like,
of that would be better than
it
right now.
shouldn't be on every bloody platoon.
Yeah, when you can't even get
Yes,
one,
and literally anything would be.
when you can't
it's
even fill
excruciating.
one of the 6 platoons because of marquee ships, that's when you know it's getting out of hand.
Feels bad,
Now-
man. Feels bad.
Yeah, feels bad, man.
Ships raid. To whoever put this, I'm not even gonna say it because this is a PG show, but they put the fake news regarding Aaron Rodgers being a good quarterback. You know what I'm thinking. Get the hell out of here. This is nonsense.
Oh man.
You got MAGA, make Anakin great again. You got that one?
I'm done with this. Y'all ready to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, I'm good. Write-ins are always hard because some of the write-ins are just great. I love reading these.
Whatever.
Keep it
All
up,
right,
everyone.
Let's move on to the next topic. All right.
All right, I got this. So the next...
Okay, we're moving on. We're gonna run through this quick. So carry on.
All right, so the next, we're kind of gonna move into something, and I did not discuss this with my 2 co-hosts here before I said this. So actually, I did tell Mist. I didn't tell Wink. I didn't get the time to. So basically, what's gonna go on here is we are going to tell you our candidates for each of these positions, and next week's poll, you are going to vote in your candidates, and we're going to select the government for SWGOH here. So what we got here is a list of American positions in government, and we've listed characters we thought fit into those spots, and then on the poll next week I'm going to put them in as the options, and you guys are going to vote in these positions, and I think it'll be pretty cool to see who the president is, for example. So let's go right into that. SWGOH presidency, also listed as the best leader ability in the game. So Wink, what do you have for the best leader ability? And then we'll go into Mist, and then I'll tell you mine.
All right. For me, it is Boba Fett. It's amazing everywhere. It's the damage output leader ability that there is, and you can use it to get Chewbacca. Miss?
So assuming it is of all time, we have 3 years of game data to go back through, and I think you can check the arena meta reports and see Rex as probably one of the long-standing majority holder of all leads in the game. So I think my vote would have to go for Rex. He's been able to survive countless metas in arenas and is just such a good clone.
I agree. My candidate for the presidency is also Rex. I think that his
No such thing as a good clone.
If you take into consideration all areas of the game, if you're let's say you're zerging Treya and you're like, you got a mishmash of players to put together a team. If you throw them under a Rex lead, the odds are it's going to work out well for you. And that's one of the things. In any event, if you need to throw a leader ability out there, Rex is one of the best in the game. I did say special considerations for Boba, which was your pick, Wink, and also a character that I used for the first year probably in the arena when I didn't really play arena. Phasma's leader ability has always been great as well. You can always use that with anyone, and it does well. So those are, I think, my candidate for presidency is Rex. Not anymore. No. But if we were going all time or
it's an oldie but a goodie.
Yes, there you go.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so SWGOH Vice Presidency. Best assist ability in the game. These are the guys right next to the president assisting him with everything. So I want to know what you guys think the best assist ability in the game is. Wink, you go ahead, and then Mist, and then I'll close it out.
All right, for me, it is Chewbacca because Miss?
So my vote was actually for Jedi Knight Revan. The ability that he gives with his leader ability, that new ability to call a specific Jedi to attack and then assist with them, is super awesome. I think that's a really interesting assist mechanic, and it's also very powerful. So
I couldn't choose between the two that I did. I listed one and a second one, but I'll go with the first one. My first one is Bastila. I think hers is really, really good with all the buffs she gives on top of it. Speed, offense, crit avoidance, crit chance up, and then there's one other one. She gives a lot of good stuff with her ability. That is one. And one, if we want to look back at the old meta, Biggs counter, or Biggs assist, one-shot characters in the arena all the time back in the day.
Oh, it did.
That three-person shot was always amazing.
That's true.
I forgot about Biggs.
That Biggs one is nasty. And then the fact that he could gain turn meter or 100% turn meter if he got hit. And that with the low cooldown on that assist ability,
he could use it every other time.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So
yeah, that was good.
All right, next category, Secretary of the Treasury. Best scoundrel in the game, Secretary of the Treasury. What do you got, Wink?
It's Chewie again because he's awesome. Miss?
I went with Enfys Nest. I'm a huge fan of Enfys Nest. Her ability to counter and basically unless she gets stunned, and even when she gets stunned, she's just stacking up the protection. She's really hard to kill, and I have seen Enfys Nest go ham flying solo. So I think Enfys Nest is just, she's a beast. So she's my best. She's my vote for best scoundrel in the game.
And who else can take 30 straight shots from Trey in the heroic Sith raid? You know, mine was also Chewbacca. he's just too fun, too good. Fits in everything. He just does everything. Everything. All right, House Majority. Who is the House Majority? Okay, you got something else. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, regarding Nest, Elon from our guild actually recorded a video that was pretty awesome, in which he used Kira lead with Nest and Hermit Yoda, just those three, and autoed a Revan team because of the recovering protection and the stacking offense. Nest hits for like 160k at the end. It is awesome.
My god, that's so amazing. Yeah. Oh man.
I do remember that video now, and it was pretty.
I will have to ask Elon if we can share that on our YouTube or link to it or something, and that way you guys can check it out because it is pretty sweet. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. So the House Majority best faction in the game for me, my vote goes to the Rebels. Miss?
I went with Sith. I absolutely love the Triumvirate. Even before Traya and Scion were brought to the game, Nihilus was one of the best plug-and-play characters in the game. Emperor Palpatine is so freaking amazing. There have just been so many really, really good standalone Sith characters added to the game. And now that you've got an entire Sith arena meta team with Traya lead, basically the Traya lead Triumvirate with Palpatine and Sith Trooper, you can literally just run straight Sith in arena and you don't have to sub anybody else in. For me, it's Sith.
My Skype cut out Sith on what you said, so I heard for me it's, and then you just started smiling, and I'm like, what? Wait. Okay, all right. Gotcha. Mine was I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the beat to drop. The Rebels was mine, and I think I like your points for the Sith. For me, it's Rebels simply by numbers. There's just so many of them, and there's so many good ones. It's hard to. You could build 3 or more teams good teams out of Rebels, and it's just. Yeah, so that's my vote. Next up,
you got the Rogue One by themselves.
Yeah, you got Rogue One. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
even the Rogue One, Phoenix is another one that are all Rebels. You know, and then you got all the other Rebels. So,
numbers.
The Scoundrels.
The Scoundrels are good too.
Attorney, they are definitely. They've been keep adding those numbers, man. Attorney General, best attacker in the game. And if you're wondering why I put Attorney General as best attacker, Attorney General's in charge of law enforcement and those types of things. So, you know, go on the attack. Anyways, what do you got, Wink?
I like it. For me, the best attacker in the game is Han Solo, and yeah, because dude, that dude can clean some house. He is so good. Miss?
I agree with you. Rancor Han Solo, especially with the Zeta, he is a monster.
I myself chose Chewbacca again, only because of Chewbacca, the fact that Chewbacca can be put in pretty much anything as an attacker and be really good with that team. So I went overall utility as an attacker there as opposed to damage, but I definitely see the Han Solo's argument. So next up we have the Surgeon General, or the best healer in the game. So what do you guys got?
For me, it is Hermit Yoda, and I don't think it's even close.
He's not a healer.
Miss?
Ooh, calling him straight out.
Oh,
if you're actually
I beg to differ. I don't care when you heal on basic. Damn it, you're a healer.
I didn't vote for Hermit Yoda for the sole purpose of the fact that he doesn't have the healer tag in game. So I actually went by the actual tag. So I sorted my roster by using the healer filter, and unfortunately Hermit Yoda doesn't pop up, so my vote went with Barriss Offee,
I went with
who
myself.
also heals with her basic.
Hey. The only reason I did not go with Barriss is because I feel like old Daka offers more
Touche.
than old Daka, or than Barriss as a healer, because yes, she heals. She also can revive. It's a lot less chance if they're not Night Sisters, but she can still revive. And then she is not a wet noodle on her basic ability. And that basic ability can also stun up to 2 people. So to me, I say old Daka as a actual listed healer is the best healer. So
yeah, so I had to go with Barriss with the Zeta being able to get that heal from getting critically hit and being able to heal through healing immunity. That was another thing for me. So there were factors in there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. If we go strictly labeled healers, I would with Jolie just because there are so many freaking Jedi in the game, and he is awesome.
He is good. He is really awesome.
All right, next up we have the Secretary of State, the best support in the game.
All right, so best support in the game, my vote goes to one BB-8 because look at everywhere he's used. He's amazing in every single raid. He's ridiculously good in multiple team comps. And of course, the RJT teams are good in arena. Like, where's BB-8 not good? He's amazing. Miss?
I went with the best character, hands down, in the game overall. If you were to go best overall character, Grandmaster Thrawn, or Grand Admiral Thrawn. He is the ultimate plug and play, stand alone, by himself. Put him in any team and he makes it better character. As far as my vote for the best support in-game, Grand Admiral Thrawn gets it.
And I went for a very similar approach, but decided to pick someone different than you. And I went with Darth Nihilus for a very similar reasons, because he also can be put in anything. And I just love that Dispel basic, cooldowns plus up, and then the Annihilate, just a really good character.
Yes.
Secretary of Defense, best tank in the game. What do you guys got? And I think that this is the first time this has happened on this, so go ahead.
Well, I'll just go ahead and break the news. There were disagreements here. It is General Kenobi.
So my honorable mention goes to Old Ben, actually. Old Ben was very close consideration for best tank in the game because, number one, he's very easy to obtain. He's easily farmed. And he's just so good. Overall utility, he's so good. So
best AoE in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Still.
For honorable missions, I did mention, and this goes back to old days of this game, but Stormtrooper Han for a long time was one of the best tanks in the game.
He was.
Yeah.
Oldie but a goodie.
Turn meter to your whole team every time he taunted and he got hit. Amazing. And then another one that's kind of plug and play. I've seen him plugged and play. It doesn't really happen that often now, but I do think Crew is a really good tank, and he can be put in most teams.
Very good.
I don't think he's the best. I just think he was worth mentioning.
Yep.
Next, the Secretary of Transportation. What an odd job that is in our government, but it is there. Best ship in the game. What do you guys
got? This is going to be a huge surprise. I went with the Umbaran Starfighter. I think overall it adds so much to any team. It is amazing for taking out Bosk. It has one nasty, awesome AoE. It dispels on basic. It is an absolutely fantastic ship. Missed.
So I actually went with Sunfax Starfighter for the main reason that it is an amazing starting lineup tank and an amazing reinforcement. You call it in on a reinforcement, and it immediately stuns the target ship, unresistible, unavoidable. Doesn't matter if it's the TIE fighter pilot with foresight, he's getting stunned. It has a stun on its special. It has the ability to gain massive defense whenever it taunts. So it has a lot of survivability. It's not squishy at all. And it's got that synergy, that mad synergy with the other two Geonosian ships. So I had to go with Sunfac. It's probably my favorite plug-and-play tank when it comes to ships as well.
Very nice. I went with the ship that seems like ever since it was put in the game sits in people's starting lineup, and that is the Advanced TIE Fighter. That ship has just been good ever since it came into the game. And that basic, now that you got Jedi Knight Anakin, who is also Vader when he grows up, you got another ship that puts out target lock on basic, but that target lock on basic with the TIE Advance has always been one of the best things in ships, so that was my pick.
It is a really good one.
The reason TIE Advance is so good is not that basic. It's the basic's great. It's also unavoidable, but the fact that target lock cannot be dispelled while that ship is active. That I think is the most important aspect of that ship.
Yeah, for the people in chat, at least I didn't pick Sith Fighter, okay? There you go. So.
That's totally fair.
Your last position in our cabinet is the Secretary of Energy. What do you think is the best and most efficient farm for a character? Whether you're a new character, old player, whatever, if you don't have this character, the most efficient and best character you can farm.
I think you and I have the exact same thing. Kylo Ren Unmasked. It's a 10 energy node. You get the ship and the character. Absolutely fantastic. I see it all over in my arena. It is truly great. He is the best first order leader. He goes a long ways towards getting BB-8, and he's plug and play as we discussed. I definitely think it's group. Miss?
So I kind of went a little off the beaten path with this one. I went with Ezra Bridger because Ezra Bridger is actually on an 8 energy Cantina battle and is actually also dually farmable from fleet shipments. So you can finish his farm potentially faster, saving you even more energy. So he, in my opinion, is a really quick, efficient farm, and he is the cornerstone of a strong Phoenix squad, which helped you get Emperor Palpatine and Grand Admiral Thrawn, as well as leading you on the path towards R2 because you need more Empire. So for me, Ezra Bridger is probably the most efficient, best farm in the game for me.
That is a fantastic choice.
All right, well, that is all of our candidates for these positions. As I said, next week I'm going to put these in the poll and let the people decide what they agree and disagree with and see how that goes. It'll be fun to see where that goes next week. But that brings us into our last segment, which is trivia. But before we get there, I want to mention one thing that we haven't mentioned in the past couple of weeks, but you all know about it, and that is our awesome sponsors, Blue Microphones. If you are enjoying the sound of this podcast, if you like the way that everything has come together on this show for the last probably 50 episodes, that is because of our sponsorship with Blue Microphones. They make great products for people that game, for people that make podcasts, for people that make YouTube videos, anything that you are interested in, Blue Microphones has a product for you. Headphones, microphones, boom stands, just cabling, any of that stuff. So if you are interested in starting a YouTube or starting to stream or just need better headphones to hear your raid leader in World of Warcraft or whatever, go ahead to bluedesigns.com and check out their products. If you decide to buy something, put in the code SOPOD at your checkout and you will get 20% off. It's a really good deal because they have really great products, and that 20% off goes a really long way towards getting you some really great stuff. So check that out. As far as the rest of our stuff goes,
something else.
Go ahead, man.
Say, Blue Designs would make really great Christmas gifts with Christmas coming up. As an excellent choice if you know somebody who's into streaming or maybe into podcasting or anything of the sort. The headphones are great, and I highly recommend if you know. Start at $100, like I said, go promo code 20% off. That is a fantastic microphone for people starting out. It is great, so check that out.
Sounds good. Last thing I was going to say is if you want to join our podcast chat, lots of people in there, always talking. Really good conversations, really drives the stuff we talk about on this podcast. So if you want to be a podcast defining person that really has an influence on what we do here, go join our chat, discord.me/shatteredorder. If you have any feedback for us, theshatteredorder@gmail.com, send it there. We always read it. We always take it to heart. And that is how we wound up with the way we do our trivia now, where you guys can get in on it. And so why don't we go into that now, Wink?
I think that is a pretty good idea.
It's time for the sexy bearded duo to battle in their SWGOH knowledge in the most exciting trivia event in the Outer Rim. It's time for the Shattered Order Trivia. May the Force be with you.
It's trivia time, and just for those of you that don't know, if you have any interest in suggesting questions for trivia, go to shatteredorder.com. There is a link at the bottom of the page where you can submit a trivia question. Click on that, and you can write in a trivia question with answer and everything, and it'll go directly to Tesh, who sets up the trivia. We don't get to see it at all, so if you want to help out or have suggestions or anything, that is an excellent way to do it. What is that game pin? Good night, Punk.
All right, so this week we're going to test our Clone Wars trivia. So if you don't know how this works, you put in you use the Kahoot app You use the Kahoot app available on Android and iOS. You put in this pin that I tell you, and you can test your mettle in these questions along with us. So this week, Mist, you're gonna try this for the first time. We'll see.
Yes, I am.
See how you stack up with us here. If you get 2 questions right, you'll probably do better than me and Wink did last week of the 9 questions. So that's how bad it was last week. But yeah, so we're doing Clone Wars. Here is your pin number. All right, the pin is 0181656. Again, that's 0181656. Now, the way I'm going to do this is, as I've been instructed by Tesh, is the first 6 questions are as the normal way we do it every week, where I ask the question, I say go, we answer the question, and then that's good to go. Apparently, from what I heard, for the last 3 questions, there's a short video that plays before the question, so I can't really ask the question before I tell everyone to go, because I'll kind of just know the answer before everyone else that way. So when we get to question 7, I'll just say go, we'll watch it, we'll ask the question, and then kind of talk about it afterward. That way we're all on an even playing field here. But
sounds good. Go ahead and post that code in live chat also. That way everybody anyone there can grab it.
All right, give me 1 second. 018. That's a 6. 018 1656. All right, there you go. All right, first question is.
What in the world? That is not our trivia music.
By popular demand, extra SWGOH questions. Who became an ARC trooper alongside Fives? And go. Wink's not getting this one.
Possible options are Rex, Echo, Cody, and Droid Bait.
I love that name.
I feel like one of those is trying to bait you into an answer, but who knows? All right, guys, what did you select?
Mist doesn't look like he got it right.
No, I didn't. I saw the slider. I was like, Rex. I was like, it was between Rex and Echo. Because watching the Clone Wars TV show, I remember Rex and Echo interacting so much with each other. I just forgot that it wasn't Rex who became an ARC trooper with Fives. It was Echo. So yeah, I got it wrong.
How could you forget that? Even I knew it was Echo. Jeez.
Yeah. I
Did
know.
you really?
No, but I guessed it correctly.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I knew it and guessed it correctly, so Echo it is. All right, so next question we got. How many characters in SWGOH attained the rank of Jedi Master? And go.
Oh, God.
Oh my God. I
Correct
have no
answers
idea.
are 10. Sorry, not correct answers, but the answers you could answer are 10, 5, 6, and 14.
Ugh.
I did not get this one right. Good grief.
I put 6. What did you guys put?
Put 6.
I also put 6.
I didn't think that.
Take a seat, young Anakin.
Holy smoke.
Oh man, let's see. So you got Grandmaster Yoda obviously was a Jedi Master. Hermit Yoda, Plo Koon was a Jedi Master, right?
Both
Mace
Kenobi.
Windu, both Kenobi. So there's already 6. Qui-Gon,
Yep.
Luminara was a Master. Eth Koth was a Master. Emma Gundai was a Master. Shite. I guess almost all of them were. So.
Holy crap.
Oh my God, we suck.
Well,
Isla Secura was a Master too.
we do suck.
That was 14 was the answer if we didn't say that
It
already.
was. Holy moly.
Good grief.
I
We
wasn't
suck.
gonna sit here and count. So I just
Yeah,
smashed
if I had
the
spent
button.
more than like 2 seconds deciding, I might have
Yeah.
thought about that. I probably still would have put 10
Yeah.
and not 14.
Right? Not 14.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mm.
All right.
All right, next question. Question 3. Which is not a quote-unquote attacker in SWGOH? And go.
The options are Cody, Jedi Knight Anakin, Kit Fisto, and Mace Windu. And what did you guys select?
I selected Mace only because I remembered he is a tank.
Oh, damn it. I'm
I
sitting here
did
going,
too.
oh, I didn't see Kit. Oh, there he is. On the attackers. See, I should have actually just thought about this a little bit more, or actually just read the options. Yeah, Mace. He's a tank.
That's the way it usually works. Is yeah.
This is why so the question has been asked several times whether we should take the timer off or leave it. And this is why I like the timer.
Because it screws players that are just
It
like,
can make you just,
I don't know
oh
what
my
to do."
God, I gotta do
Yeah.
something. And the funniest part is you make a decision in like 2 seconds, but you get like 30 seconds to a minute to choose. So
I know.
cracks me up.
Yeah.
Oh, so bad. I'm so terrible at this. Okay.
All right,
are
question
good, okay.
4. In which episode does Fives pilot an Umbaran starfighter? And go.
Which episode? Ugh. Plan of Descent, The Gathering, Darkness of Umbara, or The General?
I feel this like this is a trick question.
It might be.
Ugh.
Who knows? I know. I know it is a trick question. All right, what did you guys pick?
I picked Plan of Descent because I remember that it was not a very popular opinion when Fives chose to pilot that Umbaran starfighter.
That's a pretty good guess. I picked The Gathering because for some reason it sounded familiar, which was not correct.
I picked Darkness of Umbara because it's called the Umbaran Starfighter. Seems logical, but no, we were all wrong.
I love that we all answered all the way around the correct answer. Like each of us picked a wrong answer.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're great at this.
Next question. Who from the clone era grants defense up for 4 turns? And go.
The possible options are Ethkoth, Plo Koon, Jedi Knight Guardian, and Mace Windu.
I picked Jedi Knight Guardian because I know I'm pretty positive she does defensive up, but apparently it isn't for 4 turns.
It was Plo Koon, actually. I was like, I know this guy is defensive. I know this guy is defensive. I didn't realize it was 4 turns, though.
And Plo Koon confused.
So Ethkoth, I remember that he sucks and all he does is stun, and only some of the time. So
yeah. On droids.
Yeah. So I got a few points.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, question 6. So this should be good for you.
All right. What is
All right. Plo Koon's defense up is the only 4-turn buff. If false, name the buff that can last 4 turns.
The options are true, false, taunt, false retribution, or false heal over time.
I put true because none of those I thought lasted 4 turns.
Oh, dang it. I couldn't remember if Stormtrooper Han's taunt lasted 4 turns or not, but it only lasts 3.
I may have put false heal over time. The correct answer.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Oh.
Woo!
I think you're a cheater.
Yeah.
Where'd you get the pink 50s, Grandma?
I might be.
All right, so the next 3 questions have a video at the beginning of it, so we'll see you on the other side. I'm gonna start the first question.
All right.
I don't have videos working. Is it working for you guys?
Mm-mm.
Well, there's hints, so I.
Yeah, I cannot see.
Oh no,
anything.
it did work. It's not a video. It is a video, but it's giving hints of name that tune. It's name that tune from the old
era can stun on basic.
Sometimes has 500% potency. That's a dead giveaway. But of course, that pops up when you get to the point where you're like about to go to 0.
All right.
So
I like this. Wow,
Yeah,
well done, Tesh. You figured this out. This is awesome.
Yeah, I like it. The answers were, so the hints it gave was Clone Wars era, can stun on basics, sometimes has 400% potency. Is that what it was?
500, yeah.
500%. The answers you could give are Royal Guard, Cup, R2-D2, or Jedi Knight Revan. I picked Cup once I figured out what was happening.
I did it as well.
Yeah. In my head, I saw the can stun on basic. I looked down, and the first thing I read was Royal Guard, and I was like, "Oh, Royal Guard!" Dude. Didn't think about the fact that it's like, wait, Royal Guard wasn't Clone Wars era.
Oh man!
All right, well that's quick enough that I can read the hints as we go.
Shame.
Much shame.
Next question.
I need to get a shame bell.
Has a mass dispel. Second hint, is a clone trooper. 3, assists allies' basic attacks. Answers are Cody, Darth Sion, Asajj, and Echo.
Were... Yep. And how'd you guys do on this one?
That is a bright screen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's still bright. It's like you're shining a spotlight at the screen.
Is it that bad?
Yours
Oh
looks
my
like
God.
a spotlight as well.
Oh, it does. Look at that. Oh my God. Okay.
There you go. Now you can see it.
This.
Oh yeah.
I picked Echo.
Same here.
Is that better? It's better.
That's better. There you go.
Echo as well.
There you go.
Nice.
There we go. It's still really bright. Oh, okay. Let's not even try this anymore. I give up. I got it right.
Oh well.
Question 3. Name that tune. Has something in common with Sith Marauder. 2. Has an AoE attack.
Nope. Got it wrong. Yep.
The options were Kit Fisto, General Kenobi, Fives, and Jedi Knight Anakin. The third hint is Nautilin.
Basically telling you the race of the alien.
Yes.
And what does he share in common with Sith Marauder?
I picked Jedi Knight Anakin.
Potency up to
as soon
Sith
as I
Marauder.
saw that it has an AoE attack, I was like, oh, Anakin. Boop.
Does Sith Marauder have potency up?
Yep, that's what I did too.
No. Not answering my question. Okay. I was like, oh, perfect. I don't know what he shares with Sith Marauder. I picked Kit Fisto.
That is a great question. Yeah.
Inflict offense down. That's what Anakin has. Anakin inflicts offense down with his basic attack.
Congratulations.
Well,
like, am I wrong here? Jedi Knight Anakin.
No, Jedi Knight Anakin exposes.
Oh, healing.
He
buff
exposes
immunity.
himself.
Healing and buff immunity. Yeah.
On his basic.
Yeah, on his basic. I thought he
Not
inflicted
on his AoE,
down.
well then.
All right. So, how many points did you guys end up with?
Oh, I don't even want to say. I don't even want to say. I played the fifth. I played the fifth.
I wound up with 4591.
Woo! I ended up with 4,638.
Barely beat me.
Like I said, we're not talking about what I got. Okay?
All we gotta do is ask Tesh. He can look up where you are. You don't have to tell us.
1,834. Oh my god, it was so bad.
Ouch!
Yeah.
Oh, that ain't good. Pretty bad.
It was so bad.
It's always bad the first time. It gets more. It gets better after the first one.
It was those snap reactions that I just didn't read all the options.
It happens.
Think twice before I pick some. Yeah, whatever.
Our buddy Urzatron.
Oh, I know.
Completely.
He smoked us all.
One.
Oh my god, he smoked us.
Yeah. Very badly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that pretty much wraps up this episode. But before we go, Mist, why don't you plug everything that you do, your channel, and everything that is associated with you?
Well, I don't have a dating profile, so I'm sorry about that. But I do have social media. I'm pretty popular. Well, I won't say I'm popular because that's a relative term. I am active. Let me put it that way. I'm active on Twitter and Instagram. I have a Facebook page, but mostly that just gets fed from Instagram posts. But anyway, so follow me at Mist_YouTube on Twitter, or at Passiert on Instagram. Of course, you can find me on YouTube, Mist Passiert. That's Mist space Passiert. And I stream every Thursday night at 8:30 Eastern, or sorry, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. So if you find yourself free on a Thursday night with nothing better to do than watch me yammer on about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, that's where I'll be.
Sounds good, man. Might have to check it out next week for sure.
Great idea.
Yep.
Well,
Indeed.
now that we've gone on
right,
for
well-
almost 3 hours, how do you feel about closing this out? I don't know if that's what you knew you signed on for there, Miss. So.
I think we should just get the hell out of here.
Nah, I'm good. We're good.
All right. Well, from us to you, thank you for
All right.
watching. Thank you for everyone after the fact with our podcast, where we started, where everything started, audio podcast. Thank you for listening. I don't care if this is 3 weeks from now or now. Thank you for listening. We appreciate all of you. We will be back next week for episode 124. Thanks for hanging out. Mist, thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, we'll catch all you guys later.
See? Yeah.